initial full point of 1854. It's at 1853.96. I can't read the inflow and outflow numbers.
What do you got? Outflow we have at 150,000
right.
CFS.
Should have known that.
We need to check that though.
Oh, okay.
And Joe, can you check that?
I'll check it right now.
Or our KXMB folks in Bismarck. Outflow says 150. I want to just double check that. I have a reason to say that. Inflow at 164,000 CFS.
So we're back over the outflow. There was a time there when it was down a little bit, but you know, those rainstorms that hit, they always seem to hit in the areas that drain into that big old river.
I think the best place would be with our Bismarck.
Okay.
Full.
It's still listed as 150?
Yes.
You know, Joe, I have in my weather folder in my computer, on my email, I have a link right at the bottom of the up-to-the-date hour-by-hour readings from the Garrison Dam. So if you want to check that out.
And I apologize. When we were a little more, you know, not in crisis mode here with KX News Morning, I was pretty good about knowing, you know,
yes.
we're KX News Morning on in Bismarck, Mandan, as well as Minot. I have not given a whole lot of thought to the outflow number being in Minot right now with what's going on.
One thing is that in Bismarck, Mandan, I talked with Donnell Presky this morning. I mean, she said that you know, people are handling this right now. The dikes are holding up well in the city of Bismarck, Mandan. That was the report that I got from her this morning. We're almost to the 19-foot level, and that's what they list as the forecast crest right now, as of June 22nd. Is that today?
Yes.
So, you know, they're pretty much on track with their projections, although overall, I believe that their projections had been a little higher and the river had been what they call underperforming and not going as high as they expected.
Well, I believe they built the levee system down there to 21 and a half.
Okay, yeah.
And, you know, thinking maybe it was going to be, you know, 20 and a half, or,
right.
you know, around there with that foot.
So we're sitting pretty close to where they're expecting in the Bismarck-Mandan area. And so anyway, Donnell said that, you know, they're doing a good job. The outflow is listed as 150 right now. And Ryan just handed us something that said the inflow is 192 right now. So the maybe, I mean, to be honest, it's hard to get a hold of the latest inflow numbers sometimes. They update a little bit later on in the day, and this was a call that we got, I believe. So it would be a call perhaps from somebody who has some knowledge directly. So they're saying the inflow is up to 192,000. And we don't want to, you know, speculate there, but we'll speculate anyway. I mean, there's only so long that can go on. We're all too familiar with that before the releases might have to go up. So I'm sure the folks in Bismarck-Mandan will be keeping track of that at KX News and making sure that you're aware if there are any plans from the Corps of Engineers to change the outflows from the Garrison Dam. Joe, were you going to say something or not? No, okay.
Just a note, I know people were supposed to be doing this a while ago, but a lot of folks still, with the plugging the drains, right. Folks not affected by the flooding directly with water flowing through a home, but you need to make sure you're plugging those drains. And we've got a call from Dakota Supply Group up on North Hill by the airport. They have a new supply of drain plugs in. I have a feeling there's been a pretty big rush.
Oh, can I tell you something else?
Like Max and
Max also had them. And Menards. I was at Menards today buying every battery that they had, and they have a ton of those plastic bins. And really? So Menards has those right now, and under $4 too, if I can advertise for them a little bit.
Those are the two numbers on that site, correct?
Go ahead, Perry.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll take over here, and maybe we can look up to the 16th Street Bridge, perhaps, since we've taken a spin through all of our river levels again, and as maybe we get that called up, I'll just talk once again about the news that we got almost 2 hours ago now. This press release sent at 9:01. From Captain Dean Leonard, saying it is imminent that the sirens will be sounding in the city of Minot. And as I say that, I see someone with a truck going in the wrong direction there, and a trailer going back into an evacuation zone. Be smart. We need to be going out of evacuation zones because it is imminent that the sirens will be sounding in the city of Minot. People should gather their final items that they may want to take with them and evacuate the evacuation zones. National Guard has identified several areas of concern: Oak Drive, Odds Trailer Court, and 10th Street, along with West Central areas. The key is, as we list those, it's not, you know, they may be spots where there is some concern, but talking with Carla Burbage and Terry Greil and Jim when he was out there at different places around town, it is running so high and so hard and with so little freeboard that we're at the point here where those 4 places that we've been, 4 places that we've been trumpeting a little bit here will be joined by everywhere else in town, essentially. And so, you know,
Can we run my video again, maybe? Ryan?
Yeah, let's do that. By the way, I just saw a truck going that.
But notice how
it
little other traffic there is.
It is a lot less coming out now, so that is good, and hopefully, obviously, that's just one spot around town.
This video is now about an hour and 5 minutes old or so, and so this was shot as we were kind of expecting to hear the sirens going off at any moment. We had that live report from there for a time, and at some point, Trent and I decided that perhaps it would be better to leave that area, and so we did that.
Yeah.
And but we got some of this video before we took off. But just look at that, and I'll reiterate.
That's the shot. Right
Yeah,
there.
that shot. And standing on the street, at the street level, not being up on the dike, standing at the street level, you're looking out, and the river is running, you know, like you've never seen it before, basically at your chest level. And so, at least I did, I came to think, you know, if a hole develops in the dike right there, just think of how high that water is going to get so quickly. Obviously, we're not talking about dike failure or anything like that, but it's right at your chest, and it's just an awesome and scary thing. And we say thanks to people like that gentleman right there, who is one of the National Guard soldiers, who is wanting us to, not wanting us, who is out there, and I love that picture right there. He is out there taking a look at the dike, watching the river and seeing how it's acting, and letting us know. So again, we're expecting at any time to hear the sirens going off in the city of Minot, signifying that it is time to evacuate those evacuation zones. And once this video is finished up,
now is the time, by the way.
Yeah, now is the time to get out.
Evacuation zones.
But when this video is finished, maybe we want to put up the evacuation zone map again just for a little bit, so people can be reminded of that, of getting out. I mean, obviously, I hope you know you're in a zone. But you know, here's a thought also. Call friends and neighbors or
Yes.
relatives. If you have especially somebody who might be elderly or especially somebody who might have some sort of handicap, please call them right now and tell them if they're dawdling at all about leaving, they have to leave, or go down and get them, because we have to get the people out of those zones right there.
And we will remember that Captain Dan Murphy of the North Dakota National Guard has told us that Black Hawk helicopters stand at the ready in Minot, ready to do any sort of evacuation rescue type work. And you know, that right there can kind of indicate how serious this is. They are prepared to do evacuations not by you know, car. I mean, they would if they could, but when they say we have Black Hawk helicopters ready to help with evacuation,
And airboats.
and airboats, it can kind of signify the danger as well. And that's not a ride that you want to take, and that's not a ride that you want maybe your neighbor who is 83 years old or something, who has lived in her home for 65 years, who
Doesn't want to leave.
does not want to leave. And I gave a hug to a dear neighbor friend of mine yesterday who has, I refer to her as the queen of the neighborhood. She just was saying how difficult it is to see it again. She was there in '69, and it's so tough to know that, you know, maybe she won't be coming back to that spot.
Yeah.
And with emotions like that, we need to make sure that we are talking to all of those folks, and they are getting out.
Take a minute and make sure your neighbors are safe.
Absolutely.
And also, as you said that, you know, the emotions that run with that, and saying goodbye and maybe not returning to the neighborhood. Your sister, my daughter, Carolyn, also lives nearby in the same neighborhood down in the Souris Drive area. And she said that, I mean, she thinks there are 3 or 4 of her neighbors who probably will not return.
We're getting word those helicopters are up, and I, for one, have heard them overhead.
Okay, so
I don't know how many, but we've
the helicopters are up, and I'm sure they're up
Helicopter up.
monitoring the river, watching
Yes.
for any sites where the water might be going over the top of the dikes. And as soon as anything like that is observed, I know we'll hear the sirens.
And also up, maybe just, you know, it's staging already, just in case, you know, when
Moment's
time
notice.
is of the essence, you want to be up in the air already. And that's the situation that we're in right now.
May I also put out a reminder of our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/KXM or KX News Minot. If you go to facebook.com/KX News Minot, you can send us pictures if you have photos from when you were evacuating, or if you live outside the evacuation zone and you have some photos to share, or if you live along the Mouse River elsewhere. Go ahead and give us those photos, and Joe Goldaddy will put them up on the air. And we have a couple of photos too.
Yeah, we have readied some from Alyssa Olson. We're getting a whole bunch of pictures in on Facebook of the river. Some of them humorous from the area, like a sign that says "No Wake Zone" outside, and soon selling the house.
We're almost to the edge of the evacuation zone as we travel to the east.
Let's look through
when
that.
When we get to the end of that, then we'll go on to our pictures that have been sent to us via Facebook, and we say thank you to all of the folks who take the extra time to make that happen.
And also, Facebook has been a wonderful tool for trying to hook up with, offering help to move, and if you needed help, and that phase has ended. It can also be a great tool, and with the number of you who have signed up or have liked the KX page, just keep in mind that as things get going and as we work through this, also it's a great spot if you need help, if you're still looking for advice or information or things like that.
Let's talk about Burlington and places like that. Dave Wrighton was just in and asked the question, what about Burlington? Well, we haven't heard anything officially from them, but if somebody from Burlington is listening, you could call us at 420-5482. 420-5482, or that number that you're familiar with, 852-2104. That would work also. And give us a call, and we'll put you on the air and get the latest from Burlington. I have to assume that they're about ready to move off of the dikes.
Well, keep in mind, the evacuation for Burlington was 3 hours, scheduled 3 hours earlier anyway, was it?
Noon,
it was 6 hours earlier, excuse me. So an hour away from it right now. And if Minot is pulling the plug here, you have to imagine they are as well. And you had talked about Logan in the absolute just devastating rise that appears to be coming that direction, with how you were talking about how the water through Minot, with the channelization that's there, even when it's outside of its original channel and way outside, it'll be moving through Minot fast, but how it will then leave Minot and get out to that Apple Grove area, East Side Estates, then down to Logan, and just it may end up spreading out and just kind of hanging out there. And you had talked about the crest projection. Really, it had been bumped up a lot, and you're looking at it now.
Yeah, it's at 37.41 is the current level. That's the highest that we've been. We're almost at the record there. It's about another 3/4 of a foot, but it's scheduled to go to 41 feet plus. And the old record was 38 feet. It's scheduled, I think, to go up to 42 feet. So it's supposed to be about 4 feet over the old record at Logan by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Okay, so that's the current projection. As we've been finding, sometimes things arrive earlier than we think, partly because of rain that falls and all the kinds of the dynamic changes that happen in this river system. But so in the Logan area, we're getting close to the record level, and obviously be aware of the river if you're anywhere living near the river. And keep in mind what we heard from the folks up in Sherwood, west of Sherwood, from the Gilbertsons,
yes.
whose house I visited, and apparently their house now has some water in it, or
I believe that was. I don't want to say it was that family.
Okay.
I know I heard that name in talking about who had been who someone had talked to, type thing. But there was a home just a little downstream of the gauge. Whoever it is, I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
And they were protected to. I can't remember the numbers, but they were protected to a number that I don't think they were real concerned about.
And ended up with water.
And there is water, and it still is coming up.
Yeah, so keep that in mind as you're thinking that you're out of the way. Now, Sawyer had not had any forced, evacuations up to this point, and we haven't heard an update from them. And again, be aware.
They were planning on building up the dikes there to add, 2 feet of freeboard is what that was going to do. I would assume that work is still going on, and hopefully it is, and hopefully it can be successful.
We have no new number from Sawyer since last night at 5 o'clock, so it's a 24.47.
Just think of this.
And part of the reason is I think that the Public Works director, who I talked to yesterday, he's the one who has to go out and take the reading, and so he's got to try to do everything else he's doing and then run over and take the reading at Sawyer. So.
If Sawyer is successful, and if any place
Boy, I hope
along
they
this
can be.
system is successful, absolutely. I hope the secondary dikes in Minot.
That's
work.
where I was going as soon as we were done with this.
If something like that is pulled off with an event like this, it is almost magical. I mean, it's almost
Heroic.
yes. I mean, when everyone is dealing with this and could possibly fail, and Burlington is holding out hope. I know we'll include them as well. I haven't heard from them today, but they had put out a desperate plea for trucks to help move sandbags.
Right.
And I
That was
assume
just
that
this morning.
that plea still stands. That was just not long
Maybe 8 o'clock or so.
before before this whole press release came out.
Right.
But if anybody, be it this northeast quadrant of Minot or Sawyer or Burlington or your family home that's in rural areas, and somehow you've been able to win, it would just be amazing because of what we're dealing with.
And the question comes to us from Carolyn, wondering about the secondary dike that they're trying to build and finish in time to deal with these flows. Now, you saw that this morning. Could we run that video, Ryan, without the narration necessarily, but we could run that video that Perry shot this morning. This was about, what, 4 o'clock?
Yeah, it was probably.
Go ahead, Joe.
If I may, the Weather Service now has put out a flash flood warning for Renville County. This is
That's
just
Mouse River
in,
Park, yeah.
and they just said a rapid rise of nearly 4 feet was observed on the Souris River past Sherwood. Those along the Souris River through Renville County above Lake Darling should prepare immediately for rapid rises and possible evacuations.
So that tells us that they've observed now, they've
This
gone out there and
is
put their own
verified.
eyes on it.
Yep.
And they know that the river is in fact as high as they are thinking it is.
At Mouse River Park, they've stopped sandbagging and
Yes.
efforts, and they're getting out of there.
They pulled all the sandbaggers at Mouse River Park as of just a little while ago, and just for the safety of all the people involved, getting them out of there. These, I don't know, these we keep struggling for adjectives, but these historic levels of the Mouse River right now are just almost hard to fathom. But this is the video that Perry shot this morning, and the reason I wanted to put this up was that you were there in person observing it as they were trying to build this levee up and needing to get it up, I don't know, what, 12 feet, 10 feet, something like that?
I think 10 is low.
A long ways.
I think 12 to 15. I mean,
So did you think they were making progress, or how was it looking?
in the spots I was, yes. You know, this spot right here, which is right by the Broadway Bridge.
Can we see
absolutely.
this on our webcam?
And keep in mind
The levee that's beyond the river at Broadway Bridge? We should be able to see
the
this.
second one.
Yeah, yep.
Keep in mind, this is just one section of it. This is the section that runs east-west, essentially.
4th Avenue.
Yeah, on 4th. There is the other one that starts all the way up at University and moves down to the Broadway Bridge, and I have not laid eyes on that, so I don't
Right.
know what
Okay.
situation they are with that, so I can only speak to this area.
Okay.
And that east-west section of it, the western quadrant of it is up, I'd say, pretty good, and the eastern, you know, or maybe middle, because it goes way out there. We'll see that video here coming up in a few moments, and it's extremely high. We'll see that here momentarily. We are still in, yeah, there's Sammy's Pizza right there. It's just, when it's dark like this, I was trying to give folks a kind of an area to get your, your wits about you, so you know where you are. A lot of excavation work, obviously, and basically, how it works is the big truck would come in. There'd be a side dumping truck. It would dump it there. That big machine would move right in and start moving it toward the dike. It would lift it up, drop it on the top, and then the Bobcat would come and move it over. And that's just how they just would keep going and going and going, building it up and seeing how strong and how high they could get it. I think the more incredible pictures are coming up here momentarily, and this runs like 8 minutes. So, Ryan, I don't know if you want to skip past a little bit or if we want to just let it keep going.
We'll let it go.
We'll just let it go. That's fine, but Yeah, I mean, there's a lot.
And let me reiterate the flash flood warning that just was put out by the National Weather Service, and that is for Renville County, for you folks in the Mouse River Park area and elsewhere in the valley along the Mouse River. As of late this morning, the 4-foot rise was observed in the Mouse River past Sherwood. If you live along the Mouse River through Renville County, that's the area above Lake Darling, you should prepare immediately for rapid rises in the water on the Mouse River. According to the county emergency manager, the mandatory evacuation is in effect immediately for Mouse River Park. We know that they pulled out.
Can we put up the radar box,
Sure.
Ryan? These are the areas that Jim is talking about right now.
Let's go to the radar box, Ryan. And you can see the mandatory evacuation ordered, and the warning, flood warning, is now in effect for the areas in green along the river. That's up, flashing, thanks, Joe, in Renville County, and then in the Minot area down through Sawyer and Logan and down to Velva. Now, this is covering, of course, mainly rural areas, but we do know that it includes the town of Greene, and it also includes the Mouse River Park area. So,
which, by the way, they were working to sandbag today. We talked with Christy Titus that starting at 9 o'clock or hopefully even earlier, they were asking for volunteers to come and try and do what they can do. You wonder if they've not maybe cleared out and just have to be resigned to the fact that it's unsafe.
There's only so much you can do.
Here's the concern they had, and talking about safety, when people were showing up there to help sandbag, you had to check in with law enforcement, so they knew you were there, and you had to check out on the way out, so that they knew everyone was in and everyone was out. No one under 16 was allowed, so I mean, they knew it was a dangerous situation, and you wonder if it has proven to be too much already, or will be.
I have the feeling that pretty much everybody who lives in the Mouse River Valley this year is going to find that the river is too much for them to handle. I mean, the one exception may be Velva. We know that their dikes are up to about the 1515 level in the Velva area. Let me just quickly call up the latest hydrograph for Velva and see how they're looking as of right now for a prediction.
What's their protection to in Velva?
I believe it's 1515, and I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And right now the projection there calls for a crest of 1512 about a week from now. But I know, we could see new projections coming out because of what has been observed this morning, and what has been observed is just almost head scratching, because the water has somehow come across the border at Sherwood in such volume that it does not correlate to what the Canadians say they were releasing.
Which was about 28, correct? 28,000?
Right, but that was just as of yesterday. And
yes.
I mean, it's supposed to take 4 or 5 days to get to the border. So, we should be seeing the Saturday water, which was down in the 10 or 12,000 CFS. And so we're seeing, the Sunday number, which was 17 and 18,000, and then the Monday number went up to 24,000, and then the Tuesday number went up to 28,000. So those are the releases from Canada that should be coming in. And here we are sitting looking at 33,000 CFS preliminary number at Sherwood.
And what that is equaling to will be a rise in the Lake Darling Dam releases. Mayor Kurt Zimbelman, in his phone call to us after we started to talk here about the news that it was time to leave the evacuation zones, everyone needs to be out right now.
Let's go back to our live camera shot at the water plant.
He called and talking about different items, and also then talked about the Lake Darling Dam releases, and how chances are this 4 o'clock press conference is going to have to be moved back a little bit, because they're trying to get a grasp of these numbers and trying to understand them, and no doubt probably calling Canada saying, what is going on?
Yeah.
I mean, something is not jiving here, and because if it jives or not, they're measuring those numbers, 33,000, and they're checking it right now. If that is right, Lake Darling is going to go up from its 20,000 release amount. It will.
Yeah.
And he has said that decision has already been made. He did not indicate to me what it will be going to. However, it has to go up.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing the most amazing year along the Mouse River that you can possibly imagine. If you live anywhere near this river, if you're close, now let's talk about Minot for a second. If you're close to an evacuation zone but not in it,
you need to go.
Now, this is not official from the city, but please consider getting ready to evacuate. Please consider what is going on here, because these are unprecedented numbers, and the unprecedentedness of those numbers just keeps growing every day.
You wonder when we're going to hit a day when it goes the other way, when we get to a point where it's it's okay. Now we're going to go this direction. But you're right. It's daily. And I remember when the news kind of started you started to grasp this on Sunday. And
that was because I went up and visited.
You went to Canada.
Rafferty Dam, yeah. And that's when it started to kind of come home.
And and every day from beyond then, I mean, you would text me or
let me just share with you what happened on Sunday. I went up to Rafferty Dam myself to see it. I did an interview with Clinton Moldy, who is in charge of that dam for the Saskatchewan Watershed Authority, and he gave me the numbers that said that we are releasing right now back on Sunday about 17,000 cubic feet per second, when the city and everybody else was expecting it to be more like 10 or 12,000. Yep. Now we're at 17. It went up about 50%, I remember thinking. And so, I mean, I immediately called you, and this is the video I shot up in Canada on Sunday. I called you, and I called Catherine and everybody, and the engineering people. I said, we're going to have a press conference today. Get ready, because this is going on, and they're going to have to respond to this. And sure enough, we found out about a press conference then at 3 o'clock that was held, and it's gone on from there. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and every day it gets worse. And then, that next morning, you confirmed at a little bit before 10 o'clock that it had jumped up even more again.
To 24,000.
And this is when this whole wall-to-wall coverage began. You got back after confirming it and sat down right here, and we've been going ever since, knowing that, not only, and that was when we were at that point where the city was hoping to build up to 11,000 CFS, and it was known, hey, 2 times the amount will be coming than that, and we don't know what's going to happen, but something is going to happen, and that's where we've been going from there. Let me just break away from this just to get this out there. If you have an AT&T cell phone, which was Alltel, so if you were an Alltel customer, now you're AT&T, all circuits are busy. If you're not on an emergency call right now, hang up. They want only emergency calls, so that situations that may be bad can be.
Could we put that up on the bottom of the screen?
Yes.
Joe?
I just want to add to that, because I was the one who got that message that those cell phones are how they're all actually telling some of the people on the dikes patrolling to get off and stuff. So they're begging and pleading that only emergency calls go through Alltel, previous Alltel customers and AT&T
emergency
customers.
Cell phone usage only. Let's
Correct.
put that message on the bottom of the screen and keep that up there now if we can. Emergency cell phone usage only on AT&T. Let's just leave it at that. Let's just say emergency cell phone only, because of the need to maintain the emergency services that we rely on. Again, these are the pictures that I shot up in Canada on Sunday, and it didn't start, I mean, my being there didn't start this going, but finding out about it is what started going.
Compare this to what you experienced an hour ago standing next to the river in Minot.
I felt a lot safer standing there than I did standing
obviously,
next to the
river. Is it just... water moving quickly.
At this place,
controlled.
I was able to stand just 3 feet from the water. Okay, I was just on the outside of the spillway. Yeah. Okay, right on the other side of the concrete there, and the ground was shaking as the water came out. This was when the gates were open about halfway. Since then, they've been opened all the way. They've pulled the gates here at Rafferty Dam. So. It was a very amazing experience, but to compare it to what I had this morning standing alongside the Memorial Bridge, the 8th Street Bridge in Minot, and having the water running within a half foot of the top of the dike, and hearing it as it crashed past the bridge and all of the vegetation. Unfortunately, I don't think the audio really does it justice here, the nat sound of the microphone from the camera, but the sound was really startling.
It bears repeating that everyone needs to be out. We just saw these are not live pictures you're seeing right now. Hour and a half old, as we've been monitoring our camera on the top of Minot's water treatment plant. We've been seeing that very, very little traffic now. And obviously that's just one area of an evacuation zone. And we hope that people are getting out. And we had talked earlier about calling and making sure your neighbors are okay.
That's an emergency.
True.
Do it.
Good point. We need if there is someone you are very concerned about, don't regret regret not calling.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've heard that the Black Hawk helicopters are in the air. Haven't seen them anywhere or anything like that, but this is a live photo shot now, a video actually, and we see more traffic moving out. A lot of this traffic not carrying with it any sort of gear or any furniture or anything like that. So although there may be one right there. But we would.
We're looking for new video, so it's going to be coming in here.
Okay.
As soon as we can. We have people who are returning from being out and being able to show you the most recent high-definition video. Even though, Joe, we do appreciate that this is an HD webcam.
Yes.
It's still not quite the same.
When it goes to the internet, it has to be what's called down converted.
Okay.
So that's what's doing it.
It's a nice picture and everything, but we prefer the HD shots so everybody can grasp what's going on.
It could be black and white for all I care.
That's true.
I just appreciate that we can look at this and safely look at it as well.
I forgot to finish the thought. Can we look at the Broadway webcam for a second and just see if we can pick out the emergency dike? Hang on. And we do have a call in also to Dean Leonards, who is the Public Information Officer for the Emergency Operations Center, hoping that we can talk about the situation with the emergency dikes, because not the emergency, but the secondary dikes, because we would like to find out how that work is going. Is it still going?
And let me. This is something that we need to make sure people are doing as well. If you have a home that may be protected, we hope it is, but you need to be gone too.
Right.
Now. This is all evacuation zones have to go. I mean, if you've been watching this dike work over the last couple of days, saying, "Hey, well, I'm in good shape. I should be okay." That may be true, but you still need to get out and get out now.
Right, and we share your hope that it will be able to save your area right there. Not sure what we're looking at here.
I believe that's a commercial. I think we're waiting for the new.
Okay, for the new camera to come up.
You had requested the new camera.
And again, when you're watching us live, those are not our commercials. We would never put advertisings ahead of this coverage, but we're going through Ustream, and they do.
So let's see how far we can zoom in here without going just totally pixelated here. But the river is off to the distance there. You see the Broadway Bridge on your left. And we're zooming in slowly, and I'm just trying to see if we can pick up any indication of that secondary dike, which would be, on the far side of the riverbank there. You guys have better eyes than I do.
Now you're done with your job.
Yeah,
and
it's up to you to tell me if it's there.
Over. Is that it? I don't think so.
It wouldn't have any white on it, I don't think. The white is that poly that they call it, I think, that they put on top of the previous dikes.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident we wouldn't be able to see it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
All right, I was just wondering. And the sky is not flashing, by the way.
No.
In case you're wondering.
Nor is it falling.
True.
Something to keep in mind as well, even though
Good point.
it may feel like that's the case right now.
Let's see if we have a new number as far as the Minot River level. We do. It's 1555.36, so it's not going up quite as quickly at this moment. We're still waiting to get to that point where we hit the level that was reached in 1969, which is 1555.4.
And maybe the reason for this is the lac is not rising as much anymore, although that water is certainly coming this way, but the dam releases had been lowered from Lake Darling.
Right, but they're supposed to start going up today.
They are now, but it would take 2 days to get here.
Yeah, it's about a day and a half.
Day and a half, is what it is?
That's what I've been told.
So, obviously we just want as much time as possible, but the time that we need now is the time for you to leave. So when I say we need time, it's to drive. It's drive time.
You're making a good point there, though, that the Lacs River may be dropping. At Foxholm, it was dropping the last time we checked the levels, and if it continues to drop, that's a good thing, because that will slow down the rise that we're seeing in the Mouse River, because the Lacs dumps into the Mouse River.
I've found myself throughout this entire process being more worried about the Delac River because of,
It's uncontrolled.
Yeah, we knew what the Mouse was, and I always thought, well, we can control the Mouse River.
Yeah.
And I feared a time when our releases were high from the Mouse, and then a sudden rainfall, like we got up in Kenmare and Donnybrook, pushed the Delac so high that it would then create a flooding emergency in Minot. And now it's so. What number?
What? 43. Okay, we have Dean Leonards on the phone here. Perry is going to pick up the phone, we hope, and talk to him, Ryan. We have that working right now.
Dean, is this you?
Dean Perry Olson of KXMC. First, before we talk a couple other things, what's the situation? How are citizens reacting to this? What are you hearing at the EOC?
We hear that people are evacuating their areas like we asked them to. We're still working on patching up any of the problem areas that we find, trying to buy it as much time as possible, as well as working on the secondary dikes.
Tell me about that secondary dike work. Is that continuing right now? And is it at a good point where perhaps it may be in good shape, or where are we with that?
We're continuously working on it and trying to get as much done as possible before the water comes in. It just depends on how high the water gets in that area to force them out. But we're just plugging along right now, trying to get as much done as possible.
So it's a true statement to say that even when the sirens blow in town, the secondary dike work can continue if it's deemed safe for those folks right there?
Correct. As long as it's safe for the people to be working in those areas, we're going to have them trying to shore up as much as possible. As soon as it gets dangerous for them, then we're going to have to pull them out.
And I think it's important that as I ask that question, but to also make sure everyone knows that would only be for the professional workers. It's not safe for us. I mean, all citizens need to be gone, correct?
Absolutely. The citizens need to be out of the areas immediately if they're not already, and that would just pertain to the people in the big trucks and the contractors that are trying to protect these homes and businesses.
The mayor, in a conversation I had with him here on air a little while ago now, coming up close to 2 hours ago, I guess, had thought that, and this was obviously just an educated guess, appreciate him doing this for us, had thought that maybe perhaps within the hour we'd hear the sirens blow. We've not heard that yet, which is obviously great news. Any idea, are we getting closer to that point, or is that an unknown still for you?
It is still an unknown. At that time, we were seeing a lot of problems on the dikes, and we've been putting a lot of forces out there trying to secure those areas, to try to buy it as much time as possible. It could happen at any second, and we've been fighting that all morning. But we're trying to keep on top of things and trying to fill in as many areas that we can before we have it overtopping.
And when you say buy as much time as possible, this doesn't mean as much. There is still time for people to get stuff, correct? Everyone needs to go now, correct?
Correct. Everybody needs to get out. This is buying time for us to finish up our secondary dikes, to secure our infrastructure and things like that.
Okay. Anything else newsworthy? Or it's all newsworthy, I guess, right now. But a lot of number crunching going on right now by folks, kind of just looking at numbers at different gauge sites. Is that the type of work that's going on here?
The people in the other room, they're definitely looking at that. We have people crunching those numbers right now, trying to determine exactly what we're going to have coming our way.
Any idea on a press conference today? The mayor had indicated probably 4 o'clock might not be a possibility, but is there still one planned, and maybe a time that you would know?
As of now, we don't have anything set in stone yet. We're still trying to gather all the information, and when we do have enough information, we definitely will call for a press conference.
All right, and obviously the city, through Dean, if anything has to get out immediately, the city doing so in press release form, and also conversations like this, which, Dean, I appreciate the time very much, sir.
Thank you.
Captain Dean Leinartz of the Minot Fire Department talking to us here just now about this situation with the secondary dike. For one thing, a little bit of clarification that I got, I was kind of curious on this, is when the sirens do indeed blow, at which he said they're still not totally sure if it's going to be right now, but it could be any second. But he did say even if those sirens do blow, work on the secondary levee that you're looking at right now can continue if it is deemed safe for the crews, the big equipment operators, the massive dump truck drivers, all of the folks who are doing that work. If it's deemed safe, they will stay in the evacuation zone and continue to do what they can to build that levee up as high as possible to perhaps keep Broadway open, to perhaps keep 3rd Street open as a north-south route through Minot, and perhaps, well, if both of those two things happen, we're basically guaranteed that, that homes and businesses in all of Section 9, in most of 5, basically obviously anything north of that green line, and the north part of 6 that is on the top side of that green line could be spared of flood waters, which would certainly be fabulous news. And we were talking about what type of a magnificent accomplishment it would be if anybody through this Mouse River system in the United States of America is able to fight off the Mouse River, to trap the mouse, we could say, to beat the Mouse River. It would be a heroic effort because we're looking at numbers that have never before been seen, and I pray are never ever seen again. And not just high numbers and not just record numbers all the way up and down the Mouse River system, but records that will be absolutely shattered. We're not talking about breaking a record by maybe 1/10 of a foot or 1/4 of a foot. We're talking about 4 feet, possibly. We're talking about, in Minot, close to 4 or 5 feet as well. It is just staggering to consider what we're dealing with right now. And I would I feel for the folks, well, I feel for everyone, obviously, who will be losing homes, not just in Minot, but everywhere. I feel for those who have already lost their homes. I will be in that group along with a few of us here out at KXMC in just probably a few days. I also, you almost wonder the folks that are busy trying to figure out these numbers and crunch these numbers, they have to be shaking their heads. They have to be scratching their heads. Taking Advil, wondering how in the world the numbers that they are seeing, mainly at this Sherwood gauge site, are possible. We are at 33,000 CFS flowing over the Canadian border into North Dakota. 33,000. Now, we've been told it takes a few days for the water from the dam releases to reach the international border. On Saturday and Sunday, those releases from the Canadian dams were nowhere near 33,000 cubic feet per second, and yet that is the number we're seeing right now. We talk about this fearing, and hopefully not. Hopefully it's moving faster because there's more, or there's some logical explanation. But you would fear that if a couple days from now, if we're seeing 33,000 now, a couple days from now, it could be more than that. Who knows if that's the case? We all just have to wait and see where these graphs go.
I almost think it will be.
How can it not be? Like when you were talking about with, how many days does it take? Is it four days?
Clinton told me when I was talking to him it was about a week, but then I talked to somebody who seemed even more knowledgeable about it because Clinton's expertise is the dam operations.
Yeah.
And he told me it was more like 4.5 or 5 days to get from the dams to the U.S.-Canadian border.
Which puts us at Saturday,
So from Saturday to Sunday to Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday, that's right now 4 days, okay?
Yep.
So I would think that we're seeing the Saturday water, but I mean, if we're seeing the Saturday water and the reading is correct, then that means, either they were sending more water than they said, or a whole bunch of water has joined into the river along the way because of rainstorms of the last few days in southern Saskatchewan, which there have been.
And a whole lot.
Yeah, I mean, an incredible amount. So I don't know. Those are the possible explanations I can come up with.
Ryan, is Galen's story available right now? Let's get this new video that Jim was talking about a few moments ago. Galen Ness, a photojournalist here at KXMC, out and about as the frantic job of running to alert people, literally running through the streets to alert people of the evacuation.
They will be going off in 15 minutes, okay. And it's not a drill. Okay. Okay, all right. I I just got confirmation that they're gonna sound the alarms in 15 minutes. You're gonna need to hurry up, wrap up your things as much as possible. All right, it is not a drill. Thank you.
I heard her say she had confirmation they were going to sound the alarms in 15 minutes. Obviously, they've been able
We
to
just got
hold off on that.
notification If you hear the alarm go off, it's not a drill. It could be going off anytime.
I was told.
Okay. We just got notification. 15 minutes, the alarm will be going off.
15 minutes.
Yep. How long?
15,
Okay.
approximately.
Okay.
You guys are good? You gonna make it out okay?
We'll be fine.
All right.
Good to be all good.
We'll be fine, what he said.
I didn't hear it. Yep. I hope so, and I hope that he's on the way out.
And no doubt he is. And she was making the announcement to those folks, and I don't think could hear it, that confirmation that the sirens were going to go in 15 minutes. And then she also added, this is not a drill.
Check out that shot right there, Tom.
It's, you know, obviously thanks to the Guard again. I'm getting a greater appreciation for the work the National Guard is doing in Minot.
Oh, man.
Where was this at again, this video from?
Galen, I need to know where that was.
Where are we? No,
Okay.
Yeah, we want to do it. No, you talk to him. Where and when?
talking about the Black Hawk here in the background. As we've known, there are a couple Black Hawk helicopters here in Minot ready to offer up assistance and be ready to make evacuations, emergency evacuations by air if need be. Of course, the key is we need to not need that. We need to have everyone out right now. And kind of going back to that guard, she was running through that entire neighborhood. Galen, is Galen in the newsroom? Was that Eastwood Park? I think that's where
I heard him say that.
Was. You know, she was just flying all over the place and, you know, running in those boots. Galen, Eastwood Park, is that where that was? Where you were? That was Eastwood Park. Okay, I thought that's what it was.
Galen, how does that rank among the video that you've shot in your lifetime?
It was great.
It was great, but it was amazing, and it was kind of scary, wasn't it?
It was. The water's all around us.
Yeah.
It's high.
Yeah.
And these National Guard people are running as fast as they can.
And they're incredible, and we appreciate their efforts. And I was just going to make the observation. Oh, go ahead, Galen. Just tell us a little bit about what you observed as you followed her around there.
Well, first of all, I'm in no shape to run with that.
I noticed you set the camera down.
To run with somebody like that, but it was unbelievable. I had. I don't know how to explain it.
Did you see, were you at any spots where you could kind of see the river? I mean, how was it looking?
Well, I went by my own house there, and which I'll have some footage on coming up in just a few minutes. The water's coming over my bridge down there. And
the Ness Bridge.
Yeah, the Ness Bridge.
Okay, well, thanks, Galen. We appreciate that. And I was thinking, Perry, as I was watching that, we appreciate all that the National Guard does to help us out. And I'm not speaking negatively about them in the least, but what would your reaction be to being at home and having this out-of-breath guard person come up to the door and say, "You got to get out of here"? I guess I'd take it seriously, huh?
Well, I would. I wouldn't ask questions.
No, absolutely.
I would be out of there, and you have the feeling. I mean, I went to bed last night wondering if I would hear sirens and.
Me too. I was considering staying here all night.
Yes, and so the warnings were the warnings were out there for people, and I think as they were doing that work, no doubt they knew at the forefront of their minds that I'm sure they were almost waiting to hear something, whether it be the sirens. And I would be so thankful if I had that warning from the Guard, and that's what they're doing. And
15 minutes. That's good.
And hence, we've had how many 300-400 now? I can't. There's so many numbers running around in my head.
300-400 what? Guard people?
Guard people.
500 was yesterday's.
500.
Right. And so again, we say thanks to the Guard. We say thanks to all the people who have volunteered. And we also say thanks to the people who volunteered at like the flood hotline. If you have questions, at 858-9366 phone number.
And as you say that, there was a Facebook post today asking for more volunteers there, and I kind of made the observation that if you want to volunteer but you can't sandbag, maybe you physically can't do that hard work, well, this is a great way to help out, and especially overnight shifts they're looking for. They're asking for 4-hour shifts, and don't worry, you're not just sitting in a spot where you're all by yourself or anything like that. You are surrounded by the folks who are the officials in this, and can get you the answers that you can then relay on to others. And the times that I've called that flood hotline, they are extremely helpful, and no doubt you can be as well. So you can just call the flood hotline if you can maybe help out.
Yeah, and it seems like every time I call there to try to talk to somebody at the EOC, the phone is answered by somebody I know who's volunteering his or her time to answer the phones and help out in that area. What did I say? Oh, the mall. I was just going to pass that along. It said that the Dakota Square Mall is going to be closing at noon today, and no doubt folks will be able to help out where help is needed by not having to work there. We're being told that the Velva community of Velva is testing its siren system tonight at 6 o'clock. Testing its siren system tonight at 6 o'clock.
That's Velva.
And there
Velva
must be a reason for that.
Yeah. As Paul Harvey used to say, just what, not why. The Velva community is testing its siren system tonight at 6 o'clock. And so that's what we know about that. Now we're taking a look at those evacuation zones, and actually more specifically the secondary dike. And I'm sorry I was off talking to CBS when you were talking to Dean, but what did we learn about that, Barry?
Well, we learned that even when the sirens blow, whenever that may be, and it still has not, if it's deemed safe, the contractors, the heavy equipment operation will continue to build up this secondary levee, obviously meaning the work is continuing now. It is not done. And we made the point that it's just the contractors and the heavy operations folks who have the A-OK to be there. It's a dangerous situation for them as well. Not as dangerous or so dangerous that they have to go yet, but obviously getting closer to that. But they will continue to do that.
But they're on dikes that are higher and secondary in nature. So, I mean, they are on dikes that are able to handle some water right now.
Yes, and be able to get out, if the need arises, and we'll hope that work can continue. He also indicated that no press conference time has been set as of yet. There are, going over, as he said, the numbers that we are seeing, trying to get a handle on this, and as well trying to figure out, what the status of the levees, the primary levees in Minot, if that's what we can call them here. The primary emergency levees, just to see how they're holding up, and if the sirens do need to go. And we don't have this message on the screen anymore, and maybe the situation is improving, but it still bears saying that only emergency phone calls right now, please, with your cell phone. AT&T, which was Alltel, is the information we had for as to what carrier, but I think it's just a good blanket statement. Emergency cell phone use only. And as Joe pointed out, part of the reason that cell phone communication is how the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, it gets in contact with guard soldiers walking out there, and knowing the situation on the dikes, and knowing when they need to be off the dikes, and stuff like that. So that's why you need to be careful with your cell phone use. Do it as
okay.
As,
See, I got an update
possible.
from the mall. It says they're not closing at noon. Okay, sorry about that. We had a
rumor.
We had a post on Facebook that had said that, and I thought I maybe had seen it as a reliable source, but I'm sorry, I'm wrong about that.
Sorry about that, Chuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Dakota Square Mall is open. you wonder what type of, how many people are out there? Who knows?
Yeah.
You're pointing at something. I have no idea where you are. Right
I am
now.
pointing right now at the prediction for the Sherwood gauge at on the Mouse River, right where the river comes into the U.S. from Canada, where it is currently at now we're told 35,200 cubic feet per second, and that's considered to be observed data according to the National Weather Service. I don't know that it means it's been USGA tested, but they're saying it's at 35.2 cubic feet per second now at the Sherwood gauge, and expected to go over 42,000 CFS at the Sherwood gauge.
Can we
over 42,000.
Can we zoom in here on this, just so we can get a better look at the CFS numbers on the right side of the screen?
And again, ladies and gentlemen, when the Missouri River, when the Garrison Dam releases were up in that 40,000 range, that's when the the danger alert was being sounded, and they had to watch out. That's on the the mighty Mo, on the big muddy, the Missouri River. This is the little tiny Souris Mouse River coming in from Canada as the Souris turning into the Mouse, and they're telling us it's going to be 43,000 CFS at the border. So amazing.
And we talked about how Lake Darling Dam would have to be increasing its outflows. Just think about that. If that 42,000 moves into Lake Darling, and the number that we've been told, we know it's going up, but we were told 20,000 was going to be the top. Mm-hmm. That would not even be half the amount of water that would be coming in. It's scary to think of the numbers that may be moving our way through the Lake Darling Dam. We have some new video to show to you here. Terry Greil, remember we talked to Terry on the phone here not too long ago. He was at the bridge on 10th, I believe, east of Arrowhead Shopping Center. And here we have the video for you, east of Arrowhead, as it says. And this was the bridge that has been closed for quite some time. This is a route that has not been traveled for quite a while. Look at
look across the river there.
Yeah,
right there.
It's very, very small level of freeboard left. All the guard soldiers walking and no doubt concerned about what they're seeing. I believe that's the railway bridge right there, which will be way, way underwater as well, like everything else. Amtrak service, by the way, totally done in North Dakota right now, and Minot for a long time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's another aspect. We saw a lot of garbage right there. We were told that the city was going to be coming through and trying to pick up garbage and go ahead and put it on the corner. And I did it. He did it next to me. I know
nobody has as much garbage sitting on the side as I do at the curb.
That's true. Mm-hmm. My entire neighborhood did it. I don't doubt that basically the entire town did it. There's some right there. If it's not able to be picked up, which, they're not going to be out there in the evacuation zones after it's unsafe, obviously. It is going to be a mess. Obviously, the water is the worst, but and who knows what extra garbage may be created by this. That may be a drop in the bucket by the time it's all said and done. Let's go ahead and roll this again as well. Galen Ness was out and
with audio.
Yeah, pretty amazing video as the guard
the alarms
was out.
They will be going off in 15 minutes. Okay. And it's not a drill. Okay. Okay. All right. I just got confirmation that they're going to sound the alarms in 15 minutes. You're going to need to hurry up, wrap up your things as much as possible. All right, it is not a drill. Thank you. We just got notification that if you hear the alarm go off, it's not a drill. It could be going off anytime.
I was told.
Okay. We just got notification. 15 minutes, the alarm will be going off.
I'm gonna grab it.
15 minutes.
Yep. How long?
15.
Okay, that's fine.
Approximately.
Let's
Go get mom's button down.
Okay.
You guys are good? You gonna make it out okay?
Yep, we'll be fine.
All right.
It's gonna be all good.
Just one of many Guard members out and about and sprinting today, making that announcement that people needed to get out right away. You want to talk
Sure.
releases here?
Lake Darling Dam, just an update for you on where that stands. That, of course, is the last line of defense for the Mouse River for Minot and, you know, for Burlington and Logan and Sawyer and Velva and all the way back on up into Canada. The Lake Darling Dam is currently at releases of 10,000 CFS as of right now. Now, I just want to go historically a little bit. They were at 8,000 releasing overnight. At 7 this morning, they went to 9,000. Just now, they went to 10,000 CFS. At 5 p.m., they go to 11,000 CFS. And at 10 p.m., they go to 12,000 CFS. So in the course of the day, they will have increased their outflows from the Lake Darling Dam by 50%, from 8,000 up to 12,000 CFS over the course of the day, about 12 hours or so. So more water's coming, folks.
And
the numbers are going to go much higher than that later.
Yeah,
but that's what we know right now.
The 20,000 is the number that we were told yesterday, and now Mayor Kurt Zimmelman informing us that that number will not be the high point.
Right. It's going to go higher than that.
That's kind of the moral of this story, is everything is going to go higher. It always goes in that direction. And when you look at the numbers and the inflows being measured at Sherwood being 42,000, that's the projection, not right now, but 42,000 CFS.
Something's wacky there. That's weird.
Yeah,
it's not very.
I don't know what direction to take this here, but it is. And you know, you look at, you know, the record release for the dam was what, 5?
Yeah.
Before all this
Before
started?
this year, the most they'd released out of the Lake Darling Dam was 5,000 CFS.
I bet if and the max release is 60,000 through that dam.
Right.
They can release 60. The max they'd ever been at was 5. I bet if you would have told the folks up there that they will be at least going at a third of capacity through there and more, and perhaps much more, a couple weeks ago, that you would have told them that that's what was going to be happening in the next month, they probably would have done a swan dive into the Darling Reservoir,
laughed in my face,
and laughed and said, no chance.
Right.
And that's where we are.
We're back to the situation now, by the way, on the Mouse River at Sherwood, that they are no longer releasing a number of the flow at Sherwood at this particular moment. They say the flows are uncertain until they're validated by field measurements that are going to be taken later today. And we've told you about that the USGS is en route and maybe on scene now, taking flow rate measurements at Sherwood.
I believe we did a story recently with the USGS and out there and how they do that. When they go, and a couple folks are out there getting the latest number, and it's just a verification, basically, correct? It is to make sure that there's not a excuse me,
right.
Not anything goofy going on.
Right. Anytime they see a number that strikes them as unusual, you know, they're going to send out a crew to take an exact reading, as opposed to the reading that they get from the existing data collection point there, the measurement site for that particular area along the river.
But at the same point, up at that Sherwood site, and we're talking so much about that because obviously that water will flow through Minot eventually, is, you know, when we're hearing from folks who have called that area home for some time, it'd be interesting to know what my father-in-law would have to say. The family farm was in between Sherwood and the Mouse River, and they obviously know that area well. I just wonder if they, you know, what would he say when he would look at the river and say, yeah, I would believe that type of number. You know, who knows? There's so many people out there who can offer up, you know, their opinions and what they think, and so many people that have been around, you know, and have seen the river being high like this, but maybe not high like this. Just handed another note, which maybe will change my plans. The post office, somewhere in this mass of paper, there were
that to you.
here we go. 2 options for folks mail-wise. We told you that customers can have their mail held for pickup at the post office, or they can also choose to file a temporary change of address order. And the post office has called us, and they are not recommending the change of address form. That's what I was going to do, and send my mail that way.
They'll keep finding you, they're saying.
Yeah, they're saying they're going to keep it, and you just have to pick it up at the post office, which will be one of the most busiest post offices in the United States of America.
That's very true. And of course, it's because of the level of the river that we're seeing right now. The latest reading in Minot at the Broadway Bridge is at 1555.36. That's the 11 a.m. reading from the National Weather Service, actually from the U.S. Geological Survey, and that's an automated gauge reading there at the Minot Broadway Bridge, 1555.36. And the folks in Burlington, let me update you on the level there. It's at 24.58 as you take a look right there on the screen, I think at the Minot Broadway Bridge hydrograph right there. And again, the last that we had, in fact, Joe, maybe you could you write to the Weather Service and just get a confirmation on us on what they're saying is the crest prediction right now for Broadway Bridge at Minot. Again, yesterday at the press conference, we were told 1563. We had just before that press conference noticed that they had lowered it to about 1561.5 on their website, but and had talked, in fact, with their hydrologist just before the press conference. But then we called him back after we heard the mayor say 63, and he did confirm that. So I just would like a little reconfirmation maybe on what we're looking at the current projection at Minot. I mean,
You wonder if maybe they're not right now crunching numbers again to
absolutely.
say
They never stop crunching numbers.
Yes.
I think. Yeah, that's true. And of course, maybe how much difference does it really make? 61 or 63 in Minot? It doesn't make much difference because it's going to be over the top of the levees.
That's the other thing that with this, I've almost started to realize it doesn't matter anymore. Like when it went in previous weeks when the crest prediction was dropping, I was pumped about it.
Yeah.
Today or yesterday, when it went down from 64.5 to 63, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
I said, "What? Okay."
Yeah.
So
when it
the top of my new shingles that I did last year will be dry, or what? I mean, that's what it is.
We might be able to save the shingles. Let's look at it optimistically, as long as the structure is still there. And we did talk about that. Let's go back to that right now. But and Sean is walking into the room. He was with you all night long. Sean, thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome.
I know everybody appreciates it, and I know that you got a lot of response when you stood up like Mr. Weatherman there and started
I was playing my part as Mr. Weatherman
and started
there.
pointing out where people live. You could call in and say, "Hey, Sean, where do I live?"
It was the all-access hour to Sean Sitma at 3 a.m.
You want a job on KX News Morning as a weather guy?
There's no openings right now.
Okay.
But I was going to say, I don't know what you were going to say, but I was going to say that you're getting lined up to go on Blackhawk.
We are heading on a Blackhawk at 1:30, and Galen Ness is heading out on his way to Burlington right now as the evacuation is set to be permanent out there at noon. And then we're also...
Not permanent, but ordered.
Ordered until further notice,
Required,
let's put it that way. And from that point, too, we're also looking at getting another vantage point shot from over by I-Keating for a view of the river very soon. So we're heading out that way.
Okay. Excellent. That's what I wanted to just check in and make sure you were good to go with the National Guard.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks, Sean. And I can't remember what I was talking about before I interrupted myself there, but
well, good.
The latest
I get it
numbers,
from you then when I forget that.
The latest numbers in Burlington are 24.58. I think that's where I was. We've seen some pictures on our Facebook site, and certainly go to that Facebook site to see the latest photos at facebook.com/KXNewsMinot. And showing the bridge there at Burlington, which is closed and has been closed for a while. But we're reaching up close to the highest level reached so far this year in Burlington on the Des Lacs River. And whether that's from that rainstorm that's being added into the Mouse River, or it's the Mouse River backing up into the Des Lacs River, certainly we can't say, but that's the fact, 24.58 in Burlington.
And that would be an indication of how high the mouse is. Has that happened before this year with backing up?
Oh, I think it always happens to some degree.
To some degree, it's going to be more now. Yeah.
When you have a large river being met by a smaller river, I think that's a normal fact of hydrology. Logan is at 37.6. 21.41. I just want to update you on that. The Boy Scout Bridge area 4 miles west of Minot is currently at 21.61, nearing the 10,000 CFS level now at the Boy Scout Bridge. They're at 96.90. And of course, up at Sherwood, the level is at 27.17. What was the old record at Sherwood? Do you remember, Perry?
Oh boy,
was it 24?
that may be correct. That sounds pretty close. Joe, can you check that? The Sherwood.
I got it.
Oh, we've got it here.
The old record was 25.8.
Almost 26.
Okay, 25.8, and we're at 27 plus right now. So we're well into record territory at Sherwood.
You know, we're at a point here as we look at the 16th Street Bridge and see a car going
the wrong direction.
The wrong direction. I don't know if maybe that's a police or something, or a guard, or hopefully that's what that is. We talked with Alan Magoo of the Red Cross yesterday, and said, you know, we're talking about the shelters. And where are the shelters? We have the Minot Auditorium.
That's the one I know about. Are there others? We could go to Red Cross, Minot, or MinotRedCross.org.
Is there one at the Dome? I haven't paid as much attention about that, but I know
the auditorium.
I know the auditorium. And Alan Magoo, and Alan, if you're watching, and I'm sure you're busy, but if you have an opportunity to maybe call the newsroom here at 420-5482, 420-5482. We could maybe get Alan on to talk about the situation, because yesterday morning he indicated how really everything was slow because people were working to evacuate their homes. Well, now that this order has become official and everyone has to get out right now, I wonder if a place like that is not filling up extremely fast. Just to kind of talk about that process. If maybe you are find yourself stranded somewhere right now and hearing this, maybe you're driving around listening to us on the radio. You know, that's a place to go, is the auditorium. And we could talk a little bit about that. You can also
call the Red Cross, and they'll tell you, and that's 852-2828 if I remember correctly. 852-2828 to call the Red Cross. We can't find it on their website or on the city's website at the moment, unless I'm not seeing something. But
you're correct, Jim. 852-2828.
Okay, so you could call the Red Cross if you need a place to find shelter, and
I'm sure that it's going to be getting very busy now.
Yeah.
I'd heard that like 700 was maybe the estimate that
CBS, the story that I did this morning, said that about 800 people were expected at the evacuation center or centers.
I don't know where that number comes from, obviously.
But we did an interview with Red Cross, maybe with Alan or somebody at the Red Cross.
National, yeah. So 800, I wish I would have put this number down. Alan told me the amount of people they could handle at the odd.
I think he said it was 300.
About 300, yeah.
Yeah. So he said if they get more than that, they'll open up more shelters.
And no doubt the Red Cross, he said they're getting plenty of volunteers as well, and numerous volunteers and people willing to volunteer. And he also indicated that this is the type of thing that is going to cost a lot of money to make sure that people are comfortable as possible, and to have all the basic needs met. So if you are in a position where you can make a financial donation, if you go to the Red Cross website, and you're on that spot. Can we put that Red Cross website on the...
We need a Facebook picture also. Grab John or Tim, or who's working the CG machine?
Yes, me.
Whomever, go to Facebook right now, please, to our site. And not far down from Michelle Tweeten-Schmidt is a picture of the basement that she says is full and ready to hit the main floor. And we're going to show you that. It's not too far there. I thought I saw it. Maybe not. It came a minute ago.
Let me refresh.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll refresh that page. I mean, so many things are coming into our website right now that it's almost hard to keep up with it all. But I just happened to click over here and look at the picture. It's
right
actually
there.
the second one is what I have.
There you go.
As. Okay. Yeah, there it is.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Oh wow is right. And so from Michelle, we appreciate your sharing this with us.
Can we zoom in on that?
I hope you're safe somewhere. But this is a picture of her basement. The basketball's coming out of the basement and headed for the main floor.
Where's it at?
It doesn't say. I'm hoping that we'll get an update on where this is.
I'm trying to remember. I think we've had a picture from her already, and boy.
Well, there's a memory test.
Yeah, and I don't even want to guess.
What happens if I click on her name? Do I find anything out?
It says lives in Minot, North Dakota, but
so from Minot somewhere.
Yeah,
then.
so,
Yeah, but it could be a relative's house. I mean, we don't know what it is.
And obviously, just because it was posted a couple minutes ago doesn't mean it wasn't taken,
Eric said it's near 27th Street.
a couple hours ago.
Near 27th. Oh, is that
that's
one of the
it.
folks from the
Yes.
27th?
Must be.
Oh,
Yes.
she's the one who's got all my golf balls. Yeah, it's right on the left side of number 11.
It's the reachable par 5.
Exactly.
I said that earlier, and I got a couple of comments that not reachable, not for you. I said,
Yeah.
but yeah, they live just just to the west of the golf course. That's, of course, I remember it now when I hear it. Yeah, so pretty incredible picture there.
So yeah, well, we certainly share their frustration and feelings about what's going on there. Let me just give you a little bit of an update on what's going on. For we have viewers. I think we're on in Bismarck and Dickinson right now as well. So all 4 of the KX stations are on with our coverage here because we're expecting. 3 hours ago, we were told that the sounding of the civil defense sirens was imminent. Now, obviously, that has not happened yet, but we're still being told that now is the time to evacuate from your area in the evacuation areas in Minot. Is that a picture that we can get on the air?
If we can get our control room to go to facebook.com/KXNewsMinot, latest picture. Let's just look at this together here. They're working on it
Very
here.
possible.
Our main page, you may need to refresh it. A picture just came in a moment ago.
5th Avenue and 12th Street, it says.
And I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let you guys look at it and see what you want to say about it.
That's not seepage.
That's not seepage.
If you look at the left side of the picture, once it comes up, we'll show you what we're talking about.
The second one down, make that big right there.
This is water coming over a dike in Minot at 5th Avenue and 12th Street. And you can see it on the left side of the picture. You can see the water is pouring over that dike. Now, many times we see water collect at the base of the dike, and it's usually seepage or it's even runoff from rain or something. But in fact, all along that dike, you can see spots where the water is coming over the top of the dike. 5th Avenue and 12th Street Northwest is where this is right now. And so, folks, I guess we can say officially we have photographic proof that it has begun. This is the water now becoming part of the valley of Minot outside of the riverbanks, running through the heart of the city of Minot.
From Whitney Hay, again, just to show you how important our Facebook site is, facebook.com/KXNewsMinot.
And we did get a confirmation from Michelle also that she lives next to the golf course, and that was at 10 o'clock this morning. She took that picture of her basement that was filled up with water.
And,
just to finish
and also
that off.
says, for those who may know Michelle, that all are safe, which is good.
At her
to
brother's
hear.
house.
Yes.
Yep.
So.
Okay. But again, Whitney just sent us this picture. Let's keep it up on the screen for now. This is at 5th Avenue and 12th Street Southwest. We can put that up maybe on the lower third there just to identify the location of this. Help me think of the landmarks in this area so I can place it in my mind.
Well, 5th Avenue is...
it would be north of 4th Avenue,
north of
obviously.
4th, and 12th is... Boy, I tell you, 6th is on... Well, yeah. It's over by Sean Sitman's house.
Oh, okay, sure. It's near Sean's house out there, and it's actually not that far. I guess I was at the 8th Street Bridge, so it'd be 4 blocks west of where I was standing back at about 9:30 this morning. And so this is water that is now coming over the city's levee system. And I have to believe that at some point very soon we're going to hear the sirens.
We're going to hear the sirens.
Because, as you mentioned, go ahead, Joe.
Stuff showing up on Burlington.
Yeah.
Reports from a scanner. Burlington residents are asked to move. We'll see about that. But
Well, the
then
Burlington evacuation time is now passed.
Okay,
Noon.
but and they're now saying police are forcing residents out as
Absolutely.
they're going
And
and
they
checking
said
out.
they would
Just so
go-
you know, the sirens are sounding right now.
Where?
In Burlington.
Okay.
And not Minot. In Burlington, we have reports.
Okay.
We're verifying, and that's pretty much what it is. I'm
Okay.
sure. So.
So Burlington, of course, noon was the time, and maybe they decided to sound the sirens at noon to indicate that that was the time you had to be out of your home in the mandatory evacuation area in Burlington. And once again, this picture that you're seeing right here was sent to us just a couple of minutes ago.
Why don't you click on that for me?
And we will show you again. We'll keep it up on the screen for a while so you can get a good look at it and see just exactly what's happening as we kind of watch this slow motion disaster continue to unfold in front of us here in the city of Minot and in the Ward County and all along the Mouse River Valley through the north central part of North Dakota. Mouse River Park, mandatory evacuation is underway right now, and also all the Renville County areas. Alan's on number 479, so we'll talk to him briefly.
Let's do that. Let's talk to Alan Magoo real quick.
Keep this shot on the screen so we can see this.
Alan, Perry Olson, are you there?
Yeah.
Hi, Alan. Thanks so much for the time. We'll do just something quick here. I'm assuming when we talked to you yesterday, you said that folks were a little slow coming into these the spots that you are running with the Red Cross. Evacuation centers, are they picking up now? And maybe first off, where are the evacuation centers for people?
Sure. The first evacuation center we have set up right now is the City of Minot Auditorium. Now, the important thing to know there is because the building's so big, you got to go to the north side door.
Okay, north side, which should be kind of the back side.
Right. It's near the where the old armory is.
Where the armory is, yeah.
Yeah.
How many folks can you handle at the auditorium?
Well, we anticipate we can handle at that location right around 300 people.
Okay. Are we seeing an increase in folks there now, or?
Oh, definitely. My guesstimation when I left there was that there was way over 100 there.
And if we hit that 300 mark, which is possible, is there another site that's open right now, or is there one that's planned, or what else do we have?
As we speak, we are working on getting the Minot State University Dome open.
Okay.
However, what I want to caution, though, is we won't be up and functional until I'm guessing around between 3 and 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So we don't want to send people there expecting that, we're going to be there when we won't actually be open until, I'm saying 4, that's what I will say.
Okay, so we're thinking 4 o'clock with the dome. So if folks are driving, listening on the radio, hearing this, and need a place, the auditorium is there. What type of work can you do for folks, and what do you need from them when they arrive, if anything?
Well, what they need to do is bring anything that's important. Of course, their important papers, any medications they have. What we do is, as soon as the person comes in, we check with them to see if they've got any medical conditions and what we need to be concerned about or work with them on. And then once we get them checked in, we get them a place to sleep. And we've got, meals coming in every single day, 3 times a day, plus all kinds of other foods. A lot of it's been contributed by the community. So safe place to stay and some food. And we have some other services there as well.
And volunteers, you need volunteers to help with this? It's no doubt going to be a long-running ordeal here.
It is. We're expecting this to go on for a couple of weeks. So the types of just drop-in volunteers that we have, because normally we train our people. They go through classes.
Yep.
What they can do for us is they can help us out during lunchtime, breakfast time, dinner time when we're feeding all those people.
Okay.
And they can help out in other jobs that we have around either one of the shelters.
The scope of this disaster that's about ready, and we now have photographic proof. I don't know if you are seeing a TV, but we have a picture of water spilling over the Mouse River in Minot right now, sent in from someone. This is going to be devastating and massive. Are you expecting? Are you getting help from the National Red Cross with this? So many times folks in Minot I know have done so much with call center type stuff for disasters elsewhere, and now here it is at our front door. Are you getting national help?
Oh, we definitely are. Right away is all the chapters in North Dakota, excuse me, have been great at coming forward and helping us out. We have a structure set up throughout the state of North Dakota that allows us to work together, and we got a lot of great volunteers right across North Dakota. They're going to be here first, and then of course we're going to get those people from all over the United States, including national headquarters. The Red Cross is an agency that works very closely and works very well together, and I expect that we're going to have some very good crews here to help all people in Minot, North Dakota.
All right, Alan, thank you very much, and I'll just recap saying the auditorium is open right now. Go to the north side door. The old armory is right there, and the MSU Dome, a second location, should be open at 4 today. Alan, thank you very much. I appreciate the time.
Alan Magoo,
thank you.
Alan Magoo with the Red Cross giving us that update, and he said, yes, people are really starting to pour in right now as the water starts to pour over into the streets.
And again, the picture you're looking at on your screen is 5th Avenue and 12th Street Northwest, a little ways west of that Memorial Bridge, west. So it kind of, the river is, it's before the river is turned and is heading east there, I believe, is the area that we're talking about here. And this is water that's coming over the top of the dikes right there. Thanks to our Facebook friends for sharing that with us. And also, go ahead, Perry, what were you going to say?
I'm just trying to picture it in my head here, right where we are.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, the river kind of runs north, and then it kind of makes that easterly turn there.
And it's before that easterly turn is what we're saying.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm quite sure that's what it is. I should have asked Sean when he was out here, because he lives right in that. This might be very close to his house, as a matter of fact.
It could be extremely close.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so these are the first photographic pieces of evidence that we have that the river is topping the dike system in Minot. Of course, it's not like this is real quote-unquote news. We knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of at what point it was going to happen. Throughout yesterday, when the evacuation time was at that point, Wednesday night at 10 o'clock, I was looking at the hydrograph after sitting down in the chair here and hosting our coverage, and I was saying, at that point, the hydrograph was saying that the river was going to get to 1556 at 1 a.m. on Thursday, and our evacuation time was 10 p.m. on Wednesday. Just a 3-hour window there between the evacuations ending and the river getting over the dike level. Well, now we're finding the dike level is not as high as we thought in some places, and it's coming over well in advance of that previous deadline.
And coming over well, basically we're at that same level, but officially we are lower than 1969, which was 1555.4. Well, right now we are at 1555.36, and that is the last hour. We're about 9 or 8 minutes away from getting that updated spot. But yeah, that was kind of the number. And it was a question that I'd asked a couple of times, wondering, if anything was there, or if the officials, the Corps mainly, had an idea of what level of protection we were at. And obviously, it's different through, the system. You're doing the work, and it's going to be up and down a tiny little bit throughout the whole system, and no doubt this is a part that is just a little bit lower, and be interesting to watch. It's also a spot that can be tough to get out of, which is why it's so important to be out of there. It's not too far from where you were.
That's right.
And
big water puddle that I had to drive through there.
Yeah,
it was quickly growing.
It circles around, and then after it makes that turn to the east, it then turns a little bit south, and then eventually gets over by like the Remax area, over by that secondary dike that they're still working on right now. That's one of those spots when we heard Mayor Kurt Zimmelman talking about, way back when with the when we did this evacuation the first time around, it was, he was concerned a lot about being able to get out of places, especially with the bridge closures. And that's kind of the type of thing that this spot is. Yeah. It's just a tough spot to go. Joe's got his hand up. Joe.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just raising my hand here. It looks like Danny sent a Facebook message into KX News Minot just a moment ago. She said that's not 12th Street. It's 5th Avenue Northwest on Seaton Drive, on 11th Street.
Which would be right on the other side.
On the other side,
of
correct.
the river. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where we're looking.
So we're looking across.
It's basically the same area.
It's about the same area,
but it's on the west side of the river.
She just wanted to let you know that is the other side. It's leaking out of there or overflowing.
Appreciate that information. Yes, absolutely. And also, again, now just to recap, we have been informed by the folks at the Emergency Operations Center that we can expect the sirens to be sounded at any time. At 9 o'clock this morning, we were told it was imminent. Now, of course, it hasn't happened yet, but we have kind of had a little bit of a pause in the rise of the river. The river's rise has slowed in recent hours.
Oh, and as well, you didn't hear the interview with Dean Lennertz, and we talked about, the fact that the mayor had thought he anticipated the sirens would come essentially, before 10 or 10:15, and Dean kind of indicated that they were able to get a little bit of a hold on those spots that they were very concerned about, and they were working feverishly to sandbag and try and build them up. Okay. And maybe that is part of it. And they didn't know, like for instance, when we had we've seen the video that Galen had with the National Guard representative. I'm going to have to teach him how to swallow water.
What they put in this water.
Yes. who knows? You know, when that National Guard guardswoman was running around, you know, I'm sure that order came and said, hey, we don't know if we can get this taken care of. Well, perhaps that sandbagging work that they were doing paid off a little bit and has bought, you know, we have this extra time now.
Let's run Galen's video again. Not his new one yet, but let's run that video again of the National Guard woman going door to door in a big hurry to tell people that it was time to move out of the Eastwood Park area. It's coming here.
She's moving much faster than this normally.
Yeah, there she goes.
Wow,
what do we have here?
Well, this was Terry Griles' video.
Oh, okay.
Now we're back and there.
The alarms, they will be going off in 15 minutes. Okay. And it's not a drill.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. I just got confirmation that they're gonna sound the alarms in 15 minutes. You're gonna need to hurry up, wrap up your things as much as possible. Okay. All right, it's not a drill. Thank you. We just got notification that if you hear the alarm go off, it's not a drill. It could be going off anytime.
I was told.
Okay. We just got notification. 15 minutes, the alarm will be going off.
I'm gonna grab it.
15 minutes.
Yep. How long?
15.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna move
Approximately.
this chair.
Go get mom's button down.
Okay.
You guys are good? You gonna make it out okay?
Yep, we'll be fine.
All right.
Good to be all good.
All right, so that's the video that we got from Galen Ness telling us kind of what the life is like for a member of those people, those troops who are helping to keep us safe by walking the dikes and also running around and notifying folks of what's going on. A little bit farther down on our Facebook page, this was the picture that we got, you know, over there in the, what did we decide, 5th Avenue Northwest area of Minot. And we have another picture that's on our Facebook site right now. It's right near the top, Tim, and it is from 2nd Avenue Southwest. We can check that out if you'd like. In the area of 26th Street Southwest, 2nd Avenue Southwest, some water that could be, you know, overland flooding type problems or, you know, drainage or seepage type things, but worth taking a look at that picture as well. Like to tell you that. Okay, that was the Air Force person who was doing that? Excellent. Thank you very much.
Air Force or Air Guard. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
And active duty Air Force or Air Guard is what we were told. Okay. It's from Tina.
Okay, here we go.
And her picture shows us an area of 2nd Avenue Southwest. There it is. A pretty good view of what's happening there. And you get the idea that, man, it's going to be a lot of water in a lot of neighborhoods over the next several days, in fact, next few weeks, according to the latest projections.
Well, yeah, Alan Magoo indicated, you know, yeah, I said, no, this is obviously going to be a disaster that is here for a long time, and he
Let's
said,
go to
you know,
our live webcam there, Tim.
yeah, you know, we have to be ready for a few weeks of this. I mean, evacuation-wise, it may be months. The possibility of, you know, when the water goes down, people are not going to be able to live in their homes. It's going to take so long to get back. I wonder what it was like in '69. How long did it take before things were
40 days is what was advertised.
But once that was done, and once all the national media disappears and it's not a story anymore, how long does it take for people to be back in their homes after a flood type thing? You know, we've heard all about the tornadoes and stuff like that this year, and we hear about them when they happen, and then we don't usually hear about them 2 weeks later on how these people who are standing in a pile of shrapnel essentially.
Garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How they're doing. You know, I mean, it's just going to take a while.
Mm-hmm. And that question did come up at the press conference yesterday, where we were talking about, you know, what happens this year. Don May asked the question because in 1969 there were no dikes through Minot and no permanent dikes, and so when the water went up, the water went down, and the neighborhoods drained fairly well. This year we have this dike system, and then the the emergency dikes are on top. The water gets into that. It doesn't get a chance to flow back into the river. It's going to have to be pumped back in, according to Dave Sprinsinatic. The guard is going to work on that aspect.
Or the bit of information that was said after that, which was very interesting to me, the fact that the river channel may look immensely different when the water disappears.
The dikes may be gone.
The dikes may be gone, and not just the dikes that were added by the Corps. The dikes that have been here for years, because they are considered temporary. They're temporary dikes. The system that we've had in Minot for, however long. When did they go up? Do you know? It's before I was.
Sometime in the 1970s.
Before I was even known.
Yeah.
So.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's an update for you on that, and we want to let you know the sirens still have not been sounded in the city of Minot. However, in Burlington, the sirens did go off at noon. That was signifying the time for people in Burlington to have ended their efforts to evacuate, and telling them that it was time now to officially leave the city of Burlington in those mandatory evacuation areas. So that's going on right now. The sirens went off at noon in Burlington. In Minot, we still haven't had a sounding of those civil defense sirens yet. Coming up this afternoon, by the way, we are going to be up in a Black Hawk helicopter, and we'll show you that video as soon as we get it back in to kind of give you a look from above to see how the water is going. I don't know how far north
I was going to say,
I hope they go to Sherwood.
I hope they go to Canada.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you got the opportunity, and it would be great to illustrate for us, that we can illustrate to everyone, what's up there. I remember hearing the mayor has said it. I think Jerome Grunberg has said it. Mayor Kurt Zimmelman and Burlington Mayor Jerome Grunberg saying how when they got up into the air, they kind of, you really get an understanding of how much is out there. And it would be wonderful if we can get all the way up there and show you by video what the eyes in the sky will be seeing.
Absolutely. We had asked the question a little while ago about the crest prediction for Minot, which was, there was some confusion. Is it 1563? Is it 1561 and a half? John Paul Martin at the National Weather Service in Bismarck has told us that they really haven't been able to pin down an exact crest number. They're kind of giving a range now of 1561 and a half to 1563. That kind of tells you just how difficult it is for the experts to get a handle on what's going to happen with the river as the river level continues to rise and the flow level continues to rise.
Is it safe to say that we almost want it to be higher, a higher number now?
The flow
crest,
or the crest?
The crest, because with so much water coming, if it's a higher number, does that indicate that it's moving slower, or is that not true? If it's a lower number, does that mean it's moving faster?
I don't think you can draw that.
We can't draw that conclusion?
No,
okay.
Latest number from Burlington, I think this number equals now the highest that we've had so far in Burlington on the Des Lacs River, and that's 24.64. 24.64 on the Des Lacs River in Burlington. At the Minot Broadway Bridge, we haven't received the 12 noon reading just yet. West of town at the Boy Scout Bridge, the 11:15 reading, they do them at the quarter hour there, was at 21.61. 21.61 with the flow at 9,690 CFS in that area just to the west of Minot at the Boy Scout Bridge. At Logan, 37.42 is the noon reading there. Sawyer is not updated automatically. Let me just see if we have a new Sawyer number from today. The last Sawyer number earlier we looked, it had come in yesterday. And we see that the new number, the latest is still yesterday's 5 p.m. reading at 24.47 in Sawyer. Expecting, though, to hit that 26.8 level. Joe, maybe we'll take a look at the river levels while we continue to talk here and just kind of run through those for the folks. Again, we can tell you about the Lake Darling Dam and the plans there. The dam is currently releasing 10,000 cubic feet per second. Overnight, as you slept, I hope you slept, or maybe evacuated your home.
Yeah.
Overnight, 8,000 CFS was coming out of the dam. And they increased that to 9,000 this morning at 7. They're at 10,000 now, at 11,000 at 5 p.m. And then tonight at 10, they'll go to 12,000. And then beyond that, increases yesterday, we were told, would go up to 20,000 cubic feet per second. And that would be happening early next week. Now, the mayor told us this morning in an interview that we had on live, the mayor told us that we are going to be seeing numbers higher than 20,000 CFS coming from Lake Darling Dam as a result of these high flows coming in from Canada. That number that we had up on the screen from Sherwood indicating a record level coming in from Canada, from the Canadian dams, the Rafferty, Alameda, and Boundary dams. Here are the numbers at Burlington and at Foxholm, and you can see how things are shaping up there. That Foxholm number, of course, is directly related to the releases from the Lake Darling Dam. And then northwest of Minot, it's 21.61. The number at the Minot Broadway Bridge, and let me just do a quick check to see if it's been updated in the meantime. I think this automatically updates though, right, Joe?
Yes.
Yeah, and it's still 1555.36, and that's an 11 a.m. reading at the Broadway Bridge. And again, from John Paul Martin at the National Weather Service in Bismarck, we're saying that the crest is kind of in a range they're giving us now between 1561.5 to 1563 early next week sometime, or about a week from now. So that's the latest on the crest that, you know, it tends to change over time, and that's the latest explanation of where we stand on the crest predictions for Minot. Logan, we talked about this several times, but I want to repeat it that the Logan crest prediction is now in that record territory. We're, of course, we're in record territory pretty much, well, in fact, all up and down the river, but this was a newly increased projection for Logan, and it is at what, 42.2 is the crest projection for Logan, 42.2 on the 29th, which is next week, a week from now. And again, they only project out a week, and it's still going up at that time, so I'm not sure if they might move that up higher. And again, that represents a level that is 4 feet higher than ever recorded on the Mouse River at Logan. So you can be aware of that. As we go downstream from that, Sawyer, as we said, we don't have a new one from Sawyer lately. I pushed the button. No, there it is right there, 24.47. That was at 5 o'clock last night. At Valva, they are at that level of 1508, almost 1509, and expecting to stay within the dike system, which can go to 1515 or so. And we have next stop Towner, where we're expecting yet another record this year. We already set one record earlier in the year, and now it looks like there'll be another one in a week or so. And I think we'll probably be in the same position in Bantry, but it probably will be more than a week from now. So these numbers won't necessarily indicate that on the crest projections because, again, they only go out 1 week. In Williston, the level of the Missouri River has been dropping just a little bit recently. It is at 30.5 feet, and it is expected to maybe stay at about that level and then continue its slow fall as the Missouri has caused a lot of problems for the rural areas surrounding Williston. And at Garrison Dam, the inflows are back up now to 192,000 cubic feet per second, putting out officially 150,000. And in fact, we checked the website, and just in the last hour, that's what the outflows were, is 150,000 CFS, and getting very close to that, what's considered full level of 1854. And downstream on the Missouri in Bismarck-Mandan, the official gauge reading stands at 18.9 feet, very close to the projected crest happening today in Bismarck. That's an update on those river levels for you, Perry.
News that the National Guard is doing something, and maybe this was always planned, but what was going to be done in Burlington, they were talking about how when you were to check in at City Hall in Burlington, and then they would go to your home and they would mark your home with some sort of tape or ribbon so they knew that you were gone. Well, that's now happening in Minot. The National Guard is hanging ribbons on homes that have been evacuated so they can be assured that there is nobody around or in those homes. Again, that's happening in the Arrowhead location I'm being told, and I know, I don't know what this is. Trinity Hospital has issued a code green.
And I just wrote back and I said, meaning what?
For their employees, more so less in the mode that they will be in to serve people coming into each department or area of the hospital.
They might have to extend their shifts. Is that the
Yeah, and I
idea?
don't know exactly, but that's what I was getting information on. It's more so information for the workers of Trinity Hospital, but just know that if you go in for a medical care, as far as we know, you're going to get the same thing you expect. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know. I think there's a code white during a blizzard, a snowstorm, and so this is a code green that has been put on at Trinity Hospital, and
it is an emphasis to the workers to be ready for the possibility of dealing with cases that might come in an unusual number or unusual way. So that's what the code green means for the folks there. Tim, you mentioned that we had some new video. Is that right?
Photos.
Or not video, but photos. Let's do that. We have a couple of things that we'll call up on our Facebook side as soon as you finish looking at some of this video. And we haven't yet seen, what's this?
Live.
Oh, this is a live
video.
shot where?
This is a view from Keating Furniture's parking lot down into the Mouse River.
Okay, and you see that truck backing through the water that's there. That's kind of that back road, I think, that goes over toward the railroad offices, right?
See we'll have the Sioux Line, or not the Sioux Line, but
BNSF.
the Amtrak depot and
Yeah,
all that.
right. And so we're looking at a live shot here is what this is. This is a live shot for you of very close to the Broadway Bridge in Minot. And this looks like a regular HD camera that we have out there, right?
this must be a full-fledged camera we have there.
And we have those other live cameras that you can also check out on our website at facebook.com/KXNews. Minot. Tim, we can go ahead and call up those aerial photos that you were telling us about, and I'll let the people with better eyes tell me what we're looking at.
All right. This is an aerial shot near Regina, Canada.
Oh, no wonder I didn't recognize
I was going, what in the world is that?
Okay, this is near Regina. And you know, the truth is, I don't think Regina is in the drainage area of the Souris Mouse River system.
It's not.
It's just outside of the drainage area of the Souris and Mouse. So interesting photos, but probably not relevant to what we're dealing with right now. Let's go back to that live picture, if we could again, and show you the shot down at Broadway Bridge. There is a look at the bridge itself and some folks standing up on the bridge. Do I see there?
I believe so, yeah.
That's right by the gauge. The gauge site is a little to the left of this picture we're looking at here. And what I was talking about is that this road that is in the foreground on the bottom travels down to the east there, down to the BNSF.
I was struggling to figure out where we were, but now we're looking northeast, going to the north now.
Yeah. Still awaiting a new river level as well. Still the 11 o'clock, the official from the USGS and the National Weather Service. So.
Okay. That does a nice job of showing us where we're looking. Can we continue to go left on this picture, or to the west, in other words, or are we blocked by something? We'll see if they can hear us and answer that question for you. But this is the live picture that's coming to you, and we think it's important to bring you the live shots so you can see what's going on around the area. Right on through the noon hour here today, and we are expecting to have not live, but we'll have a tour of the area via Black Hawk helicopter, thanks to the North Dakota National Guard, coming up this afternoon. Sean Sipman is getting ready for that.
And I believe, talking with a Guard official yesterday at City Hall, I believe I'm right in saying that the plan is that type of stuff happening almost every day during this, and I believe an opportunity for us to be in the air as well. To kind of continually document.
Absolutely, and we'll take advantage of those opportunities every time they are given to us to make sure that we bring you the most recent pictures. And this is water obviously running over the top of a levee system. Where is this, Tim? Does it say? Does it say where this?
Seaton Drive right there, which again is on it's just north basically of Oak Park, but on the west side of the river. I believe I'm correct in saying that.
Okay. I'm not sure what that question is, but there is a shot of, actually on the website, Tim, is the golf course up in Estevan, which is in the drainage area that is of concern to us.
In fact, Estevan is just downstream of the Rafferty Reservoir.
And boundary. And so, And it is, yeah, it's very near the...
About a minute old.
A minute ago, it says. And it is being devastated. I talked to the, you know, I can't remember what the terminology is, I'm sorry, but the equivalent of the mayor of that area when I was up in Canada on Sunday, and he said that it has just been devastating since the releases have been raised from Rafferty and the Boundary dams, which are right northwest of Estevan. So, I mean, within minutes this water gets to these folks, and you can see the inundation in that area. So that's in southern Saskatchewan, in Estevan. The other dam that is of interest to the folks in the Minot area along the Mouse River is the Alameda Dam, which is to the east near a town called Oxbow. But that is the look at what it looks like in Estevan. The Sirens River, as it's known in Canada, just causing all kinds of problems there as it heads down toward the south.
Estevan, a town of how much? You know that?
What do I look like, an almanac? I don't know.
Not sure.
Estevan, let's see, I'm going to guess 12,000.
You think so?
Maybe I'm high.
I was going to say...
I'm going to guess about 10,084 people.
Oh, well, so I wasn't too bad.
No,
I was only over by 20%. The Drew Carey rules, though, I lose.
If only 20% overage was what we were looking at around here,
yes.
we'd be
at 6,000 CFS.
We'd be in great shape.
Yeah. Let's go back to that picture of the river overtopping in Minot. In fact, have we run the Ness Bridge video yet? Let's run that. Galen shot some video around his home, which is affectionately known around here as the Ness Bridge because his name is Ness, and he lives there.
I think before he came around, it was also the First Avenue Bridge.
That's right. But now it's the Ness Bridge, and it's closed. Always it has been for a long time. It's just open to a walking traffic there, but not anymore because of the water that is flowing over it. So you're looking downtown there to the west, and the river flowing from north to south at that location, more or less. And there's a look at the BNSF trains, and of course you can be sure that the folks who operate the trains are watching very closely to see at what point they have to call off any more travel through the area.
You got to believe they're close to that as well. I mean, when we're talking about numbers going up so fast. That shot that was just before that, I wonder if that was some erosion at all that we were starting to see on the side of that dike. And as the river comes higher, obviously it's going to struggle. 1555.5.
Yeah, which is pretty close to where we are right now.
Yeah, and as it gets higher, the erosion gets worse, and once it spills over, then all bets are off.
Right.
Which is what we're seeing at some locations.
And the reason for that was, as explained by the Corps, is?
No vegetation, so no root system that can be in there to help hold it better. It hasn't been compacted down. It's basically just put there. It's driven over, and that's the only compaction that it really gets. So there are segments of it that are just not as strong, and you can't test every segment of it, and you can't see it. You just have to trust.
There's our live shot right there that we're seeing.
Trust that it's going to do as good a job as it can.
One of the many live shots.
Reading a press release here from the city of Burlington. Pursuant to executive order, blah, 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 is issued by the governor, a mandatory evacuation has been ordered within Ward County for the following described areas. Effective right now, as of 37 minutes ago, all areas between Country Club Road, which is County Road 15, and Highways 2 and 52 from Burlington Dam number 1 to the Highway 83 bypass.
That's what they said. The governor said that exact thing yesterday.
The Burlington Project area lying along the Delac River north of the city of Burlington.
Also that.
The area lying north of Burlington and west of Country Club Road, which is County Road 15, within the Mouse River Valley from Burlington to the Upper Sirris National Wildlife Refuge.
Okay, we hadn't really heard that officially.
No, that's a big area there. In the city...
It's sparsely populated, too. I mean, once you get past the outskirts of Burlington.
Yeah.
Go ahead, yep.
In the city of Burlington, those areas north and east of Davis Street and the areas north and east of Parkside Drive. And you can go to burlingtonflood.com. We can do that, and you can see that map there. We can show it to you.
Same map that we've been showing you.
Yes, nothing new there. And then... let me just read this before I read it out loud here, but the 6 o'clock time, everything we just said there, you have to be evacuated right now. Effective at 6 o'clock today, those areas downstream of the city of Minot downstream the city of Minot along the Mouse River within the inundation area shown on the Ward County inundation map found on the Ward County Emergency Management Flood Information page. And that's a site that we have been showing you very, very often over the last couple of weeks. This evacuation order is effective immediately. Not that one. That is a 6 o'clock one. The others are obviously there right now, and all of them we just have to wait and see until it's rescinded. And of course, the governor of the state is the only person who has the authority and the ability to do this because these areas do not have a home rule charter like Minot does have, that allows the mayor of Minot to make that decision, which obviously he has done. And now we've reached that point where there should be no traffic anymore in the evacuation zones because it's time to be out. And,
in Burlington.
And Burlington as well.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I just got a post of exactly who that was running door to door in the video for Galen, and just the information is there on Facebook. I'm writing something else and I can't read it. I'll have you look that up. It was posted about 30 seconds ago. But amazing work being done.
Staff Sergeant Shireen Blaze, I believe you'd probably say it, B-L-A-S, and she's from the 219th SFS.
Strategic
something Squadron.
There you go.
Something Squadron.
Special Forces?
Oh, well, maybe. I don't know. But thank you very much to her and, of course, to all of them. We don't want to just single her out. But she was the one who was putting on the miles there.
Yeah, and we're looking at it right now. In fact, let's listen.
Wrap up your things as much as possible. All right, it is not a drill. Thank you. We just got notification that if you hear the alarm go off, it's not a drill. It could be going off anytime.
I was told.
Okay. We just got notification. 15 minutes, the alarm will be going off.
I'm gonna grab it.
15 minutes.
Yep. How long?
15.
Okay, that's fine.
Approximately.
Let's go get Mom's button down.
Okay.
You guys are good? You gonna make it out okay?
Yep, we'll be fine.
All right.
Good to be all good.
I have a new guess. Security forces.
You should see the number of people who just commented and corrected
500 comments on Facebook saying it's security forces, you dope.
God bless you people for correcting us. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, we do appreciate your keeping us honest here.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And that is excellent. And this is our live view from I. Keating's. It's looking north toward the river, as you can obviously see. And it is one of our several live views that we're offering you. This one is in full HD. Yes, Perry?
And also an evacuation area,
yes,
right?
Correct.
So I'm guessing that's not a guard person,
Well, but the evacuation hasn't taken effect yet for Minot. We haven't had the sirens.
True, but we've been told to get out right now.
Right, I know. But I'm just, as this person's lawyer, I'd like to point out that, no, I'm just kidding. But
hey, I'm living with a lawyer right now, okay, so just relax, okay? Just relax.
And, just so the folks in the Bismarck-Mandan area who might be watching, and Dickinson area who might be watching, who haven't been able to keep up to date necessarily on this over the last several days, we started our broadcasts continuously at noon on Monday. We were on the air from about 9:45 until 11 Monday morning in advance of a noon press conference, and then starting at noon Monday, we've been on the air 24/7 with people
almost. I'm going to keep him honest here. Monday we took about an hour break at 7 o'clock
so we could make a schedule.
And I kind of talked about this earlier. This story or the scope of this is so huge that kind of figuring out the logistics of how we are going to best bring it to you, it takes a lot of trying to figure out. And even just on our aspect, how we're going to cycle people through, and how long we're going to stay on continual like this, and There are a lot of unknowns for the city right now, and for you, and a lot of unknowns for us at KX right now as well.
Right.
Trying to figure out how we're going to do this.
Okay. And the mayor is, told us back at about 9:30 or so that we're expecting any time to hear the sirens to be sounding, signifying the end of your opportunity to get your things out of the evacuation zones. Joe?
You mentioned within a half hour.
Okay, and so we're expecting to hear that sometime in the next half hour or so. So we'll, again, though, we were told back at 9 a.m. that we'd hear it in the next hour or so. So just to, be aware that time is running out for you to get your stuff out of your home in the evacuation area. We know that you originally were told that you'd have until 10 o'clock tonight to do it. Then you were told that you'd have until 6 o'clock tonight. And now, of course, it's going to come up short because of the rising Mouse River. There is a press conference going on that's specifically for the national news media because, as you might understand, there is interest among the national media about what's going on when you have 10 or 11,000 people evacuated from a town and the flood is obviously going to hit. And so, for instance, CBS had its uplink crew here today, and I was on live there on CBS Morning Show, and we believe that CNN maybe has a crew here, and MSNBC, I think, might have a crew here. And so the national media is here, and they're getting updated information that we already know. Okay, this is old information that's being given out, other than the fact that we're all waiting for the sirens to go off, which I guess is also old information.
And presented to us in that way that this was all for the national media.
That's correct.
Coming in.
That's correct.
The national media that...
trying to play ball.
That, I mean, and it's not their fault. They don't have the grasp of the situation and the grasp of the area and the history of it and the understanding of it that, not just we at KX have, but all local media and all of you as well. I mean, we've been living this for so long. Is this new video here?
Yes.
6th Street and Memorial Bridges. This is where you were, and we told you to get on out of there.
I think this is a slightly different spot, though.
Yeah, that's true. This was at 11 a.m. I'm seeing. Is what it just said there.
All right.
Was that when you were there?
I was there at about 9:45.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. And you see the water there spewing out of the bridge there, coming across it also, obviously. And again, mostly all you see out here are people wearing the camouflage uniform representing the Air Force or the National Guard, the Air National Guard, the Army National Guard, all those folks who
security forces.
Get that right, will you? The security forces. So we're seeing those folks. We're seeing, this is a piece of video we have seen again. This is that Ness Bridge again. Have we seen the 6th Street Memorial Bridge video yet? Or is that what we just saw?
We just saw that.
Have we seen the 4th Avenue Bridge video? That's actually the question I intended.
I don't know.
Here it comes, he said.
And this is new video. Do we know when this 4th Avenue Bridge video
just came in?
Just now?
Seems to be some water on that bridge. And the 4th Avenue Bridge, which I think actually is on 3rd Avenue, and it's, you know how that goes.
So this is the one just west of Sammy's Pizza.
Yep, I'd say that's correct.
And boy, you can really see it starting to move up. And this also about 11 o'clock. Yeah, in fact, well, wait, this bridge right here is actually by Oak Park.
Okay.
It's by Oak Park,
Just east of Oak Park.
which is also extremely close to the pictures that we've had of water flowing over the top of the dike system.
Kind of like that right there.
Yeah. I wonder, was that on the outside, though? I mean, you know, we talked about, Dean talked about the sandbag work at some of the lower spots. You know, you'd think that maybe that is one of those spots right there where they've added sandbags, trying to keep it back as long as it can. Obviously, they're not adding these sandbags thinking this is going to be the fix. They're adding these sandbags to possibly give the area and folks maybe another 20, 25, 30 minutes.
Right.
And that's why they're being put there. That's an
boy.
Some of these shots, it's like it. You know how you can get a pool. What's it called? A pool that you can't see the edge of. It's like
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking about?
The ocean.
Yes. Oh man, it's Oh,
I'm trying to think of what you're
I'm
talking
sure it'll
about.
show up on
Yeah.
Facebook in a
Come on,
second.
let's go, folks.
It's like where you can see the water, but you can't see the edge of the pool. It's like
Infinity pool.
An infinity pool. Thank you,
Carolyn Moore,
here it
your
is. It
own,
was on here, right?
your own sister.
Holy cow, you people are fast. It's when I build my new home, I'll put an infinity pool in, and
Everybody just can't wait to correct you. I think that's the thing.
We need you for the morning show.
But it's kind of like that. I mean, right now it's getting so high up that there's just almost no freeboard. That as you look at it, it's almost like the water is just there,
right there,
and there's
baby.
nothing keeping it in. I mean, and that obviously is the indication then that it's to the point where soon nothing will be keeping it in, and and already in certain locations that is the case.
When we get done with this particular video, why don't we put up that those pictures that we have, or the picture that we have of the overtopping of the dike system that's been going on in Minot now for a while that we've told you about. The dike system, of course, I was thinking as we were watching some of these shots where it's right up to the top of these dikes that have been built up, to provide emergency protection to the city. And we always were told, we just never know how well those dikes are going to perform for all the reasons you talked about just a little while ago. But, apparently they're performing spectacularly.
I would say tremendously well.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that we're getting to the point here where the way that this is going to end, this part of this flood battle, this flood fight, will end with with water flowing over. At least at first, it's starting with water flowing over, indicating that there
it is right there.
Yeah, there hasn't been a spot where there's been a big land giving way and water flowing through like that, and that was the instance when, if that happened, that was when water would really move in a fast way,
that would
and
be catastrophic.
extremely dangerous.
Right.
So,
and I mean, as catastrophic as this flood is going to be, obviously, for all of these folks in the valley, that would have made the catastrophe start a lot more quickly, and it could have been life-threatening, even more so than we already are facing.
Yeah, and I would think, guessing here, just thinking through this, had there been a spot where something gave way and water really came through fast, well, that water coming through fast would only grow that area. I mean, it would just poof. It would just go, and if you were in a spot like down here in this area by Oak Park, which is low and can be kind of tough to get out of. It's right there.
Let's check. We still haven't heard the sirens. We still have our microphone turned up to some degree, right? So we'll be able to hear the sirens when they go off. And our tape situation is doing okay and everything. And I wanted to say that let's take a look at the. My brain has just stopped. It's just ceased. It's just there. That's what I want to do. I wanted to look at the live cameras.
It's like the control room knows.
That's right. They can read my mind even when my mind is not functioning.
That was happening earlier this morning and last night after I sent you home, which I'm very glad I made that call yesterday. That was excellent. You needed to go home.
My family needed me, and I went home, and we got the kitty cats moved again, with the same result with the one of them. But
what does that mean?
Well, it means cleaning up afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
Survived it, I hope.
He's not very dignified when we change locations.
You say the same result again. I'm just wondering, did it die the first time around? Because we have 9 lives here, right?
Nothing like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I appreciate your filling in last night. And the point you were making there was what? I forgot.
I don't know if I was making one.
So this is the water plant. We're looking to kind of the northeast. I don't know what that flickering is there, Joe. Can you fix that for me, please? Joe's just our computer guy here.
Do you want to actually? Can I address that really quick?
Oh, sure.
It's the automatic iris control. It's called. It basically by itself adjusts how bright the picture should be. Here's the problem. I can't take control of it manually because as the wind blows the camera, the brightness changes, and it's trying to compensate for that. So if you ever watch our stream live, basically we don't want to just keep it at one level because as the cloud situation changes, you can't actually see things. So believe it or not, a sunny sky and a cloudy sky, that could mean all the difference between seeing the picture or not with these cameras. So I apologize for that. But.
And I'm only giving Joe grief because I love
course,
him.
but it's probably, you probably want to know why that's happening.
Joe, start pulling your weight around here, would you?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Joe, with the help of the city people, got this installed. Another live camera that we have available is our actual live camera, which we could go to down at the I. Keating Furniture World.
Is HD HD
they're
quality.
moving it higher, okay.
And higher would be better. And as we've talked about earlier, we'll get even higher than the point where we're going with that camera soon. Sean Sitma is scheduled to load up into a Black Hawk helicopter here in about 37 minutes or so. 1:30 is when they are set to take off, and waiting to see where they go. Hopefully, it's not just the Minot area, which obviously we want as well, but if we can move up into the system and move upstream into the Boy Scout Bridge, obviously, which would be easy, and then up to the Lake Darling Dam, and then up to Sherwood, and then up to the Rafferty Dam. These things move quickly, do they not?
Yeah.
Okay, I've never been up in one. I know you were up a couple weeks,
2 weeks ago. Yep. So yeah, we'll have that for you later in the afternoon. We're working on that view from Mike Keatings, but then the other live camera that we have that's available on our Facebook site, again, that's at facebook.com/KXNewsMinot. You'll see it on the left side of the screen. You can click on the Minot River Cam Broadway Bridge, which is the second one we haven't seen recently, and that one's coming up here. They're working on it, as you can tell right there. And we also want to say thanks to all the folks on Facebook who send us, words of encouragement to try to stick up for Perry. I've seen some of that going on.
You can knock that off.
Yeah.
I do want to give you just an update here. I'm talking to the National Weather Service to hear if they heard from the USGS as to why we're not receiving a Minot update on the river. But the last one we did get was from 11 o'clock, 1555.36. I wish it was 11:55, but 1555.36.
And that the Sherwood, where they're doing that gauge work, I believe, we had done that story a few weeks ago. It takes a little bit of time, obviously, to get there and to go out and to physically get out there. And you wonder if, with the situation being so nasty, if it's even more treacherous trying to get to that spot and take that reading. It's not as simple as just walking out like normal and doing it manually. You've got to get there.
Right, and they have this unit that they pull across the river channel and go back and forth a few times. If I remember right, Joe, do you remember seeing this story where how the USGS rates the flow at a specific point, and it keeps track of the information. And what it does is it figures out how many cubic feet of water move past a given point in 1 second. Mm-hmm. And so I always thought it was speed, and I was really confused about it, but I finally got it explained to me so I understood it. It's not speed, it's volume. It's how much water. It's not how fast the water is. It's how much water goes past whatever the size of that slice is.
Do you want me to?
In a given
I can elaborate just for a moment. It's like taking a box of water.
Yep.
And basically keeping it still, that's that box of water that we're talking about, and then trying to figure out when the river's moving, how many boxes of that same size water passes through that one area box that you chose in the first place.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So it's, I guess that's about the best way I could explain that, but it's still, amazing numbers, amazing numbers.
I don't know if they have to be on the water, but they pass it across the water through a system of strings or ropes or chains or something.
So what happens when that water is
moving fast or spread way out
and as wide as it is?
I don't know.
I mean, that's an interesting task.
Mm-hmm. And as you know, it has to be decided at what point, not just the depth, but the location in the river where that has to be, because any change on any axis would make a different reading. So.
And this is another one of our live webcams, our Broadway Bridge webcam, our Catherine cam, I guess we call this one, right?
Yeah.
I think that works.
Catherine's apartment, and it's a view of the Broadway Bridge on the left side there, and the river moving from the left to right across in front of us, right there where the mouse is going across. Right there, and I guess our thought is that if and when the water starts coming over the levee system, we'll be able to see it in a pretty good way from this camera, along with the other ones.
And that water will move toward the camera quite a bit as well. Just to recap on the shelter situation, remember yesterday morning, if you were listening on TV or the radio, we talked with Alan Magoo, the Mid-Dakota chapter of the American Red Cross, a gentleman who's been in the Magic City now for about 10 years or so, he said, and they've helped so many with disasters.
Sirens are sounding right now.
Okay, you can hear them right now. We'll just listen and take our live shot maybe from 16th from the water plant.
Said this. I don't know if you heard the start of that in 1969. Mayor Clarence D. Clink Johnson had this to say. Minot always reaches its heights during adversity. Out of this experience will come a stronger people, even more determined that our city will pursue its destiny. Maybe some words to keep in mind as we listen to this. There have been a few starts to this. It seems like it has been never ending in Minot. But this is almost a new start to the next chapter of this as well. A chapter that's going to last quite a long time. That will be remembered for this, by the way, 12:57:20. 20 seconds after 12:57 here on the 22nd day, and in fact right now we've hit 1 o'clock. We'd been told that, and I still hear the sirens going. After this, there will be a message from Central Dispatch as well.
As they turn around, you kind of hear them and then you lose them because the siren speakers turn to different areas. It's the kind of thing that hasn't happened in Minot since 1969. Water is inundating the city and is moving over the top of the dike system. The dike system that has been built up and strengthened over the past several weeks in an effort to protect as much of the city as possible. A dike system that is proven to be inadequate in the face of historic rains in Canada and in northern parts of North Dakota. A dike system that is proven to be inadequate because of the high snowpack throughout the winter months in the huge area of land that is draining into the Sirens and Mouse River system that runs through southern Saskatchewan, northern North Dakota, and southern Manitoba. It's a dike system that has done its job over the past few weeks to give citizens safety and comfort, but unfortunately it is just too much for the dike system to handle. The question now is, can we all pull together and make sure that we are able to handle what comes in the coming days and weeks? The sirens were sounded, as Perry mentioned, at 12:57 and 20 seconds this afternoon in Minot. An historic moment to jot down if you're keeping any sort of a journal of your experience during this flood fight. And in Burlington, the sirens went off at noon today, and in Minot about an hour later at 12:57:20, the sirens were sounded. Now, what this means is that water has been observed overtopping the dikes or has come very near to it. We, of course, have shown you the pictures that there is, in fact, water going over the top of the dikes in some areas. And so this means that if you are in an evacuation area in the city of Minot, you have to now immediately leave that area. That does not mean you get another 15 minutes. It means time is up. It's time for your own safety to get out of that area.
And the big worry with that is that because as water starts to pour over, the structure of the emergency levees that have been built up by the Corps of Engineers are no longer considered safe enough for us to be on the dry side, because there's no guarantee that side will stay dry much longer. As the water pours over, the dike system is not as strong as it was when it was put in just a couple of weeks ago. Dike systems, I've learned, get stronger when there's some vegetation and some root systems can develop in there. Also when they are compacted. Well, that type of work could not get done here, obviously, especially the growing of vegetation. But you know, when they're putting this system in, there's no time to be pounding it down and packing it in. And really, it proved to be not necessary in this instance, because we've not had a situation where the dike broke through or anything like that. We're having the overtopping that we'd heard about, and that's the spot we sit. And I don't know if it, I don't know why it. I feel this way. Many people may do. There's something about. 6 minutes ago, before the sirens were sounded, nothing is really different between then and now.
Right.
Yet hearing that, it kind of closes one chapter, like I said, and starts another, and it almost feels different.
I almost opened my mouth while the sirens were going and said, you know, how do you feel right now? Not you, but I mean the viewers who live in Minot. How does this make you feel? And are the sirens going off again right now?
Yeah, they are.
So I'll ask you that now as they go off again. You know, what are your feelings? Share them with us at Facebook if you'd like. Once again, we're looking at a live picture now from I. Keating's Furniture World, looking to the northeast. You see the Broadway Bridge on the right, and that is a thoroughfare that will remain open as long as the plans go well. We're all hoping, we have our fingers crossed, that these massive new amounts of water coming down from Canada don't do anything that would change those plans, because obviously the city fully intends to keep Broadway open, running north-south. And we're still hoping on the 3rd Street Bridge and the 3rd Street as a whole street as well to go north and south.
Absolutely. That is the goal of the city, because as long as this is going to last, there needs to be a way to move throughout the city. And the Broadway being the main the artery through Minot, that obviously was the main goal, was to keep that open. And that was really when that transitioned on Monday morning, when we realized just how bad it was going to be. Sunday, we were told that we were going to build up the primary dike system to 11,000 CFS, a number that seems just so tiny right now. It's unbelievable.
Doesn't it, though? Mm-hmm.
And from that point on, when they realized that 11,000 would be pointless. That work stopped, and the work on the secondary levees running from the north from University all the way down to Broadway and then over to the east started up in a big way, and it continues now. Even as the sirens do sound, contractors will continue to work as long as it is deemed safe on this, the work that could and might just keep two main arteries in Minot open, north-south, and if they are successful with that, save numerous homes. I would say hundreds of homes, you know, maybe affecting 1,000, 2,000 people. It's tough to judge that number-wise for me, at least. And we can all be hopeful that that work can continue for as long as possible. We do know we are going to most likely hit a point when the gauge reading that you see right now, 1555.36 with Joe, is still the last one we have.
And they're looking into it right now. Two things from the Weather Service. They're looking into the gauge, why it's not updating, and also they're closing the 3rd Street Bridge as we speak.
Okay, the 3rd Street Bridge, which is one of the bridges that they wanted to keep open.
Yes, they are closing it as we speak. And
we're not going to read more into that.
That's also from meteorologist Tom Schrader, and he can verify that. So they are closing the 3rd Street Bridge here in Minot.
And like Jim said, don't know what that would mean. We'll have to wait and hear. No doubt we'll hear more on that at the press conference for local affiliates and local media that no doubt will be coming here today. But yeah, it's almost as though, I know you had asked what people were feeling and got a lot of posts back on Facebook about that. It almost feels like Minot is a different town now than it was 10 minutes ago. It's almost like I don't know my hometown right now. It feels so different. Just sitting in the same spot that I've been sitting at for a while. It's weird how the mind kind of works like that, I guess, and that's just me. It is still our hometown, no doubt about that, and will always remain. Just have to get through these next few weeks and months. I was getting ready to talk about the sheltering situation. Right before we heard the sirens blowing in Minot, Alan Magoo of the Red Cross, working with Scott Collins at the Minot Auditorium, the Minot Recreation Director. The auditorium is open right now as an emergency shelter for people. You're asked to bring medication and all the essentials that you would need to the auditorium, and that is the one that's open now. The Minot State Dome should open up by 4 o'clock today. About 3 hours from now, the dome should be opening up. And also on the Air Force Base for military personnel, there is a location there as well for those looking for help shelter-wise, and no doubt hundreds, maybe thousands. It's tough to know how many people are going to take advantage of these shelters. I know last time we did this 3 weeks ago, I think the numbers were, I thought, remarkably small.
People at the shelters.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider how many people were evacuated, and
don't you feel like everybody kind of evacuated on a kind of smaller scale in that first one? I know we did. I mean, we didn't take the washer and dryer and refrigerator and dishwasher and oven and stove and.
Well, definitely.
And so I'm just wondering if the whole thing was just different in that way, and I'm not sure what that means. I don't know what I'm saying, but anyway.
Is it different though? I mean, you're still out of your home. You still have to go somewhere.
Yes.
And I know what you're getting at.
I realized I was talking myself into a hole there, but I guess I don't know. It just felt different the first time.
Well, and it definitely does feel different. Last time, right away last time, it seemed as though there was no hope. But very quickly it turned last
maybe
time.
About 6 hours when it was bad.
Exactly. And you kind of had this hope. I remember sitting in the press conference, in the middle of that press conference 3 weeks ago, kind of mass texting my wife and my mom probably, and my sister and my brother and sister-in-law, and it just said good news with an exclamation point. And that changed then. The news is anything but good this time. And like you said, you take the washer and dryer. I took the hot water heater. I ripped out all the carpet, the air conditioner with the help of a professional. I don't worry about that part. And the furnace. I mean, it's anything you want guaranteed will be there. Had to come out this time.
Right.
And that's the amazing part of this.
Again, the sirens sounding in Minot, that signifies a couple of things. It signifies that water is coming over the top of the dike, something we've been showing you for over an hour now, maybe an hour and a half if I remember right, but we've been showing you the photos of that, the water coming over the dike somewhat slowly at this time as far as we can tell. And again, we don't really have people who are down near the dikes because we can't put them in danger, but we have seen that happening. So the sirens indicate that water is coming over the dikes or is very near to doing so in a volume that will cause danger to folks in the zone. So they're giving you a few minutes now to get out of those evacuation zones. The sirens have been sounding. They are going again. They've been going for 15 minutes now. And so your time is up. It's time to just get in your vehicle and leave, take the safest route out, and get yourself to a safe place so that you are not caught by the rising Mouse River.
We're reaching a point too, like you say, where the water will start coming over, and it's 1:13 right now, and you wonder at what speed this is going to happen. You wonder what it's going to look like, and then we'll hit dusk, and then we'll hit nighttime. And you wonder, it's going to be difficult to see what is happening, how different this situation may look at 5 a.m. tomorrow when the sun starts to peak up, from what it looks like when you go to bed wherever you may lay your head tonight.
Meteorologist Tom Schrader was out and about. Do you have the mic, or did Joe walk away with that, Tom? I was just going to say that, well, we got another one over here. I was going to say that you were out on your motorcycle for a little while there, and I guess we can share this mic, and just tell me kind of your observations.
Well, I went to the 3rd Street Bridge and got on top. I asked the National Guard if it was okay and checked with the police department. And what I saw was the water was on the south, it overtopped the south side of the river.
That's the downtown side.
The downtown side. It was up to the first offshoot track for the railroads, not the main tracks, but the first little offshoot one. On the north side, where they're building that dike, when I left, they were just to the west of 2nd Street. Okay, and so they
heading west
towards Broadway, and they looked like they had added about 2 to 3 feet. So I would guess, and it's kind of hard to tell at an angle, but I would guess there's probably 3 to 4 feet freeboard up to 2nd, and then maybe 2 feet west of that. So they're working on it, but the thing I noticed is they're dumping, straightening it out and going. It's not getting packed down or anything. So this isn't going to have a tremendous amount of integrity.
The only packing down they do is just the actual driving on it with the heavy equipment.
And they're not on top of that long as they get more dirt. The other thing I noticed, there's a lot of people on the bridge. They're closing 3rd Street Bridge, and there were still people on the bridge taking pictures, which they're not supposed to be doing.
Could you tell in your visit to 3rd Street if the closure of that bridge is because we may not be able to win the fight and keep that bridge open, or is it just a temporary thing while they continue the dike work, do you think?
That I don't know. I asked the police officer that was closing the bridge, and I said, "Are you closing it?" And he just nodded his head yes, and I said, "I'm heading back to cabs."
It's possible it could be to
allow the work.
We are going to have very few north-south routes, and if they're going to need to keep getting these trucks in there, and it's possible that it's being closed. Don't know this for sure, that it would be closed so that they have easy access back and forth if they're using
I didn't get the sense it was dangerous there. I didn't get that sense.
Okay. Thanks, Tom. And by the way, just a note, we still do not have a new reading from the Broadway Bridge, but it's very likely, or it's likely that the level of the Mouse River when the sirens were sounded is nearly exactly what it was at its highest point in 1969. The last reading we had was at 11 a.m. at 1555.36, and of course 1555.4 was the flood of record in Minot in 1969, at least the most recent one. The actual highest ever was back in the 1880s. So just something to take note of there.
As we watch this again from our vantage point, we have a few different vantage points throughout the city here, and this one is our high-definition vantage point that we have from the Broadway Bridge. Sorry, I'm kind of looking in two different locations there. Yeah, from
Broadway Bridge is on the right.
Yep, and it's a spot I would assume that maybe will stay for quite some time, but we'll just have to see. I guess I'm sure we'll change and go back and forth. I am picking up the phone, and I believe I may be talking to my good friend Mr. Mark Lyman. Is that true?
Yeah, how's it going, Perry?
Well, it's been an interesting few days, Mark, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
And we just now have experienced the sirens in Minot, indicating that water is overtapping the dikes, as we've had pictures of. And we bring Mike. Sorry, it's been a long day. Mark. Mark Lyman with Blue Cross Blue Shield.
That's right.
Of course, previously in the media here in Minot, over across the street with KMOT, and then with Minot State University, and now with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Many questions about insurance and health insurance and all of that.
Let's address some of them. Let's talk about some.
I don't even
put some people at ease here.
To tell you the truth, Mark, I don't even know what to ask you.
Okay.
I don't know where to start. I mean, what?
Well, let's start with obviously your heart just breaks for the people in Minot and for all the many thousands of people that are impacted by this. I've had conversations for weeks now with my wife. We bought our first house 2 blocks away from Sammy's Pizza, 2 blocks away from that bridge that no longer you can't even see anymore, and lived there for 4.5 years. Great neighbors, great neighborhood, and we just wonder if our 110-year-old former house is going to be there. Well, in 5 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
we just wonder. And so obviously your heart goes out to everyone, and I just love to see the support that Minot gives Minot, that North Dakota takes care of their own.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome right there.
And then the question may turn to what type of support will Blue Cross Blue Shield be able to offer to its folks it works with. Where does that come in?
You're right. One of the biggest questions we get in something like this, and this is a question we got when the Red River flooded in 2009, when Grand Forks went under in 1997. One of the biggest questions we get is the prescription drugs. A lot of people have a lot of medications they have to take. People knew about evacuating, but maybe they, in the haste, they forgot an important medicine, or maybe they need to get one filled this week, and they are in Bismarck now, or they're in Williston, or they're halfway across the world. We want them to know that Blue Cross Blue Shield can take care of them when it comes to that. If you have any early refills you need to do, or if you're just nervous about getting your refill done, go into your pharmacy, go into whoever takes Blue Cross Blue Shield, and the pharmacist there can take care of your early refill for your prescription. So don't worry about that.
Okay.
That'll be covered for you. The pharmacists know how to handle that. They've done that before in other areas in the state. They can handle that again for you. The other thing people worry about, and whether you're a business who's down there super impacted by the flood, whether you've got half your employees, talking about having houses down there and you're worried about paying your premiums, worried about getting a paycheck in a couple weeks, how am I going to be taken care of? Give us a call. Let us know that you're having this problem. Let us know how we can help you. And we can extend that time period for you so you can have a sort of additional 30 days or 45 days. Call the phone number that we have for our member services. That's 1-800-342-4718. So I'll say it one more time, 1-800-342-4718, and let us know how we can help you.
Okay.
We want to get it so you're not going to get your last $500 pulled out for your premium. We want to be able to take care of you ahead of time. We want to make it whole. We don't want you to be worried about that. That's the last thing you should have to worry about.
All right. Well, Mark, I appreciate that. We're going to make this quick as we keep moving on, but I know we've got that phone number out there now, and we'll get that up as well. And I thank you very much for the call.
Everybody out there, my wife was up there 2 weeks ago, and she said it was just heartbreaking. So good luck with everything. You guys are doing a great job, so keep getting the word out.
All right. Thank you very much. Mark Lyman with Blue Cross Blue Shield now, based in Fargo, I believe, Mark is.
That's correct. And let's move to that cell phone picture that Tom Schrader sent to us on the 3rd Street Bridge looking north toward that secondary dike that's being built in that part of town. Right now, you're seeing our live picture from on top of Ike Heating Furniture World. We also have live cameras that are They're available online at a couple of different places. Here's a look at that. Here's a look at the view of the river from on top of the 3rd Street Bridge. That's the dike that has been along 4th Avenue for quite some time, and they've been building it up and trying to shore it up, and now they're trying to increase the height of that dike to deal with the new crest levels that we're looking at from the National Weather Service and the Corps of Engineers. A pretty interesting shot there.
And work that continues. Again, I'll remind you what Dean Leonard's told us, that just because the sirens have now sounded does not mean that work will not continue. It will continue as long as the Corps deems it a safe project to be working on. And the hope is that the level of the river can stay low, where it is, and not move up quickly, maybe is how I should say it, to give these contractors as much time as possible. Obviously, it would be just totally beneficial and wonderful news if at the end of this, these homes can be spared and the businesses that are in there as well. And also, if those homes are spared, it indicates that Broadway stays open and 3rd Street stays open. And if water gets over that,
over 3rd Street,
over this dike system, am I right in saying that Broadway is toast and 3rd Street is toast?
Yeah, I mean, if we have that graphic of the secondary dike just to show what it looks like and where it's being built. There it is. It's indicated in the green. It runs from University Avenue down 3rd Street northwest, down to the bridge, to Broadway Bridge, and then east along the river and the railroad tracks.
Keeping in mind, though, that the river in Minot, they say it drops about 10 feet, correct?
Right. From west to east,
west to east, it's about a 10-foot drop. So perhaps if... don't want this to happen, but if water did get over, maybe it would only fill to the east because it could possibly be going downhill that way. Obviously, you're right. Who knows? No clue. But
don't know how it works. But you know, I mean, certainly, if that dike is not successful, we are in danger. I know that we are safe in saying we are in danger of losing those 2 north-south arteries through town, North Broadway and 3rd Street. 16th Street is already getting closed off because of what's going on there. Although, have we heard that bridge is officially closed? I don't think. Do we have our live cam on 16th? There it is, right here.
It's we don't know if it's officially closed. However, of course, no one is allowed to be there.
Right. There is a truck going across it right now, it looks like. But soon it will no longer be able to handle traffic. There's no question about that. So that's going to happen in the near future. So we're counting on Broadway and we're counting on 3rd Street, and of course we're counting on the success of that 3rd Street, or of that secondary dike system that they are still working on. Excuse me.
It is open. Hold on. I'm talking to Lieutenant Weitzel from the police department.
Yeah,
the 3rd Street Bridge is open, you're saying? Oh, okay. I appreciate the call, so we can get that right, and my apologies for that. Anything else you want to add while I've got you here? That's the main thing. Okay. Well, we'll make that correction, and in fact, we just did here. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. 3rd Street Bridge is open.
I noticed that he has your cell phone number.
Well, unfortunate arrest a few weeks ago.
We thank the police. We don't know exactly what happened there. Maybe there was a determination made that they thought we were going to have to close it, and maybe some higher officials went out there and said, well, we can keep this going. So
could have been a misunderstanding.
Yeah, a lot of things. But that's good news. It's good to hear the 3rd Street Bridge is still open. Again, however, we'll reiterate the plea from yesterday, which is do not drive right now anywhere in Minot unless you have official work to be done, whether that's whatever that might be. But don't go out and try to sightsee and take your personal photographs. We appreciate your sending us photographs that you can take from your home without having to get out and about or anything like that. But we do not encourage anyone to do any unnecessary traveling.
That type of thing in Minot should now basically be coming to an end. That type of photo work coming to us of your homes from Facebook.
That's true. Some of the Facebook shots that we've received so far at facebook.com/KX News Minot have shown us the filled up basement out there in that west of Sirens Valley Golf Course, where my balls all end up there when I play the 11th hole. That basement was totally filled to the brim with water, and that was the area that we showed you last night. We had video of, well, first we had photos of the area, then we had video of the area from that part of town where a few homes had to be evacuated because access had to be taken away, or was taken away, by water running over the road right there. You know, I had asked people if they wanted to tell us what's going on in their minds as they heard the sirens today, and some folks have posted some things up on our Facebook site. And one of them that caught my eye was that somebody said as we were leaving town, as the sirens were going off, it sounded like taps was being played for the city. And at first I was thinking, well, you know, I suppose that's an understandable statement, but you know, I really disagree with that. You know, maybe it's more like reveille. Maybe it's more like, here's what we're going to do you know, to survive as a city and to come together and make this all work out. So maybe you want to choose that as the military song instead.
We had talked about a community prayer service that is being held tonight at 7 o'clock at our Redeemers. I know that I've talked about it a few times here today. Also seeing another joint prayer service for the Minot community coming up tomorrow, Thursday, 7 o'clock as well at Zion Lutheran Church in Minot. The service led by area pastors from many of the Lutheran churches in the area, and so just keep that in mind, that opportunities, prayer services underway tonight and tomorrow, 7 o'clock tonight at our Redeemers Church, and tomorrow at Zion Lutheran Church, both pretty close to each other at South Hill.
Okay, and we encourage you to take part in that if you are so inclined. You know, I got an update on the releases from Canada, and again, we talked about this before, is like, you know, what difference does it really make at this point? But at this point, it appears that what's coming from the Canadian dams, advertised anyway, is about 500 cubic meters per second from the Rafferty Dam, about 220, but expected to go up to 260 cubic meters per second from the Boundary Dam. And the last report we had was from Alameda was 50, although that might have been ramped up, but we'll go with 50 because I haven't heard a new number on Alameda. And that adds up to 810 cubic meters per second, which is 28,000 CFS, which is very close to what it was yesterday. So that's what we hear for today. So, you know, a day perhaps without a major increase in the amount of water coming from Canada. However, the question, the wild card there is Alameda. I'm not sure if that might have been ramped up, and it was not indicated in the site that I was able to find. And I do have a text into the official there, but I haven't heard back yet.
And am I right in then saying still with 28,000 CFS being spit out, that's the high?
That's
yet
the highest that we've had.
Yet we're seeing 33 at the Sherwood gauge right now.
Yeah,
28
right.
spit out.
Something doesn't make sense.
33 being recorded, and again they're working to confirm that. And
I'm just working right now to see if we have a new reading for the Minot Broadway Bridge, which we do not.
I thought that was. Go ahead.
We have a new number from the river at Sherwood, and I think this will be an official number that has been tracked, and it is. And the official number is 25,100 CFS. So they went there and made the reading, and so instead of 33,000 that it was reading on the automatic gauge, they've taken the reading and found that it is 25,100 at the Sherwood gauge as the river enters the U.S. Even at that is still significantly more than the amount of water that was released.
Outside shot in the basement if you want.
Okay, that was significantly more than was released from the dam on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, that level wasn't reached until yesterday.
Can the rain play into that?
I would think so. Rain can play in falling rain that adds to the streams there that would play a role in it. But at any rate, that also could mean that we could see somewhat higher numbers to come. But we're at 25,100 at the Sherwood gauge now. So that's an update for you.
Would officials consider that good news? I mean, we're at such high numbers anyway, but at least it's at a point where, okay, that's going to make a little more sense to them, and
Yes,
You know,
I would say they would be happy to have confirmed what that is. Now we're looking at the 27th Street outside the house. That is the
basketball house
area that we've talked about.
Just west of the golf course, Sirens Valley Golf Course, hole number 11.
And that's inside. And then that was the full basement I was telling you about. And these pictures came to us via Facebook, and that's at facebook.com/KX News Minot. And by the way, that's a good way if you have friends, family who live far away and who would like to try to keep up with what's going on back here at home. You can encourage them to check out our Facebook site, and on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a button to click on to watch our live feed 24 hours a day over the internet. And so far, that has been working pretty well, huh, Joe?
Right now, yeah, and again, we have had
give me some
viewers
stats
from everywhere. At this moment in time, 10,024 people watching live right now. 10,024 people watching live. And again, we also have live feeds of some webcams around town. I know a lot of people on Facebook have been saying, hey, we're watching you live, and it's on the air right now. Our live HD van is out shooting north from, if you're familiar with the Minot area, the I. Keating Furniture area, the building looking toward the north, slightly northeast. That'd be looking north up Broadway there, and the Broadway Bridge. That is not available online because they're constantly taking down that feed and moving to safer locations and getting different shots. So this camera you're looking at now is only available here on our live KX News feed, and that's the only place it's really going to remain to be here for a little while unless something changes. But we do have from downtown Minot our live camera shooting toward the Broadway Bridge, so you can kind of see if once water does start to go over the tops in some areas, you'll be able to see it on that camera. And then also the Minot Water Treatment Plant camera, and they're just webcams. They're internet streaming webcams. We've been using them here on the air, and again, at least it gives us a view of different areas along the river, different perspectives to monitor and kind of keep up to date with what's going on. I know some people can even see their houses along the river there in spots on our webcam, but check it out. Please share this link with your family members, anybody who could be interested. Again, around 10,000 viewers right now, and thank you for all the information you've been passing along to us on our Facebook site, Jim. I mean, it's
what was the number I heard you say this morning about how many individual persons?
Users were over 500,000 people, so about 500,000 people, different people, have visited the actual live video at some point in time. Not all watching at the same time, but over 500,000 people have watched our live stream at some point in time.
And we are getting Facebook messages from people from all over the globe. I saw one, just happened to see one go by that was from Japan, who said he was watching what was going on here back in his, I think he said, hometown. And obviously very interested in what was going on back here in Minot. The folks who are with us in Bismarck and Dickinson and Mandan and that area, we want to welcome you to our coverage, our live 24/7 coverage of the Mouse River flood of 2011. Somebody wrote in a suggested name for us for this event, maybe the mouse that couldn't be trapped. I don't know. We'll think about that. I actually heard a gentleman last night who came to check and just see how we were doing at our house as we were evacuating, a man who we came to know and love over at Minot High School, Mr. K, Alphonse Kenningsman, and he stopped by to see if everybody was doing okay, and he said he came up with the name for this, I think almost by accident. We were talking about how the flow of the water had the potential to really do some serious damage to the homes that are flooded because, you know, it'll be moving along at a pretty good rate, and we were thinking that, you know, we were standing in the house saying, I don't know, it might end up, you know, 6 blocks downstream by the time this is all done. And he said, yeah, it's like a prairie tsunami. And I thought that was a pretty good description, too. A prairie tsunami is what's coming our way right now. We're in the very infant stages of the actual flooding in the city of Minot as the water is going over the top of dikes in some areas, and the sirens have sounded. You are now officially ordered to be out of the evacuation zones. No longer are you allowed to be in those zones, and the police will be checking, and the National Guard and the Air Force and all the folks who are helping out will be checking to make sure that that is adhered to. Earlier in the day at 12 o'clock, we heard from Burlington, and their sirens sounded at about noon today. And Joe, maybe you could make a phone call, or Tom, for me to the gentleman on the bottom here of this piece of paper, and then I got to have that piece of paper back, and see if he would like to be on the air with us. He called earlier, but we couldn't do it. It was right during the sirens that were sounding.
Just wanted to mention, and I know this is the evacuation area, so we're not going to probably get confirmation, but they said now that 6th Street Bridge south of Ramstead is starting to get wet. So the water's just starting to lap at the bottom or at the top there of the 6th Street Bridge by
I know what
Ramstead,
you mean.
south of Ramstead. But I haven't heard it's closed or whatever, but you shouldn't be there anyway.
No, that's
so
true.
It doesn't matter. The thing is, I'm just passing along what I heard, unverified, but that's the evacuation zone, and you should be out.
And in addition, not only should you be out of that area, but that just to help you identify where it is, that's that bridge that was closed briefly for a few hours 3 weeks ago when they were concerned about the safety of that bridge, because the National Guard had noticed that they thought maybe the bridge had shifted and moved slightly under the pressure of all of the water. But then they ruled that it was okay. And since then we've been using it safely, and now I don't know if this is going to work or not. Do you think? I'm trying to put my tie
on over your
really
collar
if
there.
I have a tie on?
You have the buttons in the corner. Unbutton those and then try again.
I know.
There.
Okay. I got to try to hold on. You talk some more, Joe.
Okay, but anyway, still verifying from the National Weather Service. It's basically from the Weather Service, they're saying USGS is still looking into the reporting problem of the gauge at Broadway Bridge in Minot. So we still officially, on your screen in the upper right-hand corner, you see 1555.36 feet. That's the 11 o'clock reading. We haven't got a new reading in since then. So, Jim, it's not like we're not updating it. We are watching for updates. As soon as we get one, we will pass along that information.
Ryan, he's on 471.
Okay.
Also, I'd make an observation from when I was sitting at the bridge. The water was, the time I was there, it took about an hour. It seemed to have gone up about an inch. I mean, just from my view, watching where the railroad tracks were, the offshoot of the railroad tracks, it looked like about an inch. And that was an hour, by now it's been 45 minutes to an hour ago. So it wasn't rising all that quickly at the 3rd Street Bridge.
Jim, really quick too, got a note. The American Red Cross needs volunteers to help serve dinner tonight downtown at the MSU Auditorium. They're asking...
Hold on. At the auditorium?
At the auditorium. Yeah. It says here, and I'm going to just read it first. It says, please be there at 3:30 p.m. and report directly to the auditorium. If you need further information, please call 852-2828. This is directly, it's an email from them. So I think they're saying, Jim, you can just show up at the MSU Auditorium, be there at 3:30. They need help very badly to help serve dinner tonight to everyone who's been displaced. So if you can help and you need more information, first, 852-2828. That's the American Red Cross here in Minot, or show up at the auditorium at 3:30 this afternoon.
Hundreds of people are expected to be coming to the shelter that's operated by the Red Cross locally, and we say thanks to them for what they do. And I think I have on the phone with me, am I saying here? Let me push another button here and see if it works this time. Yeah, there. Are you there, Ryan?
I am.
Ryan Ackerman, who is the city engineer in the city of Burlington. Well, give us an update, Ryan. How do we stand in Burlington? We know the sirens were sounded at noon, telling the folks in the evacuation area they had to be out, but what's going on?
Well, right now we have crews from the Air Force Base shoring up the sandbag levee on the north and east side of Burlington along the Mouse River. And that action is going to buy us a little bit more time to begin the construction of a secondary levee within the city of Burlington.
Go ahead.
The latest releases projected by the Corps, which came out yesterday, the 20,300, combined with the combined with the flows in the DLAC, we just don't have a real high confidence level with a sandbag levee along the main channel. So we've begun the construction of a secondary levee within the city to protect as many homes and as much infrastructure as we can.
And so infrastructure in Burlington to be protected by the secondary dike, what specifically are the areas that you have to protect?
Specifically within Burlington, we're looking at 2 municipal wells and also the 2 main lift stations within the city of Burlington.
And is the evacuation area any different than it was yesterday?
The evacuation zones will remain the same. That has not changed. I guess within the city, it's obviously a lot quieter right now with the evacuations being implemented. There are still a few residents trying to hang on, being escorted out by the sheriff's department.
Okay. All right. And well, are you in Burlington right now, or where are you, Ryan?
I am in Burlington on one of the levees right now.
So you're on one of the levees. Tell me, what do you see? I mean, just give me your observation of that river. Are you looking at the Mouse, or are you looking at the DLACs?
I'm actually right at the confluence of the Mouse and the Black, and we're seeing significant rises. It's probably come up a foot in the last 24 hours. It is on portions of the sandbag levee that were recently completed within the last few days. There's a lot of water up here, Jim.
That's an understatement. There's a lot of water everywhere right now along the in the river valley. Okay, well, Ryan, stay safe. We don't want to have any accidents out there, and best of luck to you. And just to recap, and I'll make sure that I have it right, you're talking about, and you are in fact working on secondary dikes that you're making out of clay that will be built around key infrastructure points in the city, because you're not really confident in the sandbag dikes, which are still being shored up, though, by workers from the Air Force Base, right?
That's correct. And then, like I said, the shoring up of the sandbag levees buys us additional time to construct these secondary levees. And we're trying our best to construct these secondary levees to save as many homes as we can. It's not just the critical infrastructure, but also the homes.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for updating us from Burlington, Ryan. We appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye. Ryan Ackerman, who is the city engineer in Burlington, telling us about their efforts to shore up the existing dike system, giving them time to work on a secondary dike system that will be made of clay. The existing dike system has been added onto through a series of sandbags and HESCO barriers, and they finally decided that they just were not confident that the city would be able to see those dikes succeed in holding out the Mouse River with the construction that they currently are under. And the sandbag dike is going to be less reliable than a dike that's made out of clay, which is less reliable than a permanent dike that's made, and properly formed and all that. So that's the situation they're facing right now in the community of Burlington, and we thank him for that update. Updating you on the amount of water that we're seeing come down the Mouse River right now. The river is flowing very rapidly, and Joe, we still don't have an update on the Broadway Bridge, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, and I'm still looking at the National Weather Service chat room. They're checking on that one.
Okay.
USGS obviously
having a problem.
We just stopped getting the readings. I mean, I'm not sure if it's malfunctioning or the connection to it, but obviously not getting the reading since 11 o'clock.
So the reading on your screen, I think it indicates it there. That's an 11 a.m. reading.
11 a.m. this morning.
And that's at 1555.36. 1555.36. And so again, the sirens in the city of Burlington went off at noon today, indicating that folks had to be evacuated. They, meanwhile, are still trying to save as many homes as possible in Burlington from this rising river. And in Minot, of course, it's the same thing. Work on secondary dike is going on, and they are trying to save as many homes as possible, but from the city standpoint, they're trying to save transportation access as much as possible. Transportation on North Broadway, transportation on 3rd Street is what they're hoping to maintain with that temporary levee that they are currently underway trying to build up and shore up. I guess build up mostly at the moment, and try to keep the transportation available. But at the same time, if that is successful, many homes in the Minot area in that northeastern part of town will be able to say that they'll stay out of the water, assuming that the dike is built high enough and it's able to withstand the pressure of the river as it comes crushing through the city of Minot. Well, just to recap for you, this afternoon at 12:57 and 20 seconds, the civil defense sirens were sounded in the city of Minot. It was kind of a seminal moment in this fight against the flood in 2011, a moment that said that the water is either coming or imminently coming over the dike system in the city, and that people had to evacuate immediately. We've been getting a lot of reaction from people online on Facebook to their hearing of those sirens and what kind of feelings it brought in them. But the sirens really served to kind of put a exclamation mark, I guess, on the first part of this flood fight. So many people did so many things. They did all they could. They, in fact, Ryan, let's play our promo that we have, if you would. So many people did so many things that they did all they could do to try to keep the Mouse River from inundating the river valley in Minot. Of course, that fight is being lost as we speak, and yet this is really the start then of the second phase of this flood fight, and it's a fight for survival of the city. Really, it's a fight to show each other what we can do and how we can come together and make this a great city, which it always has been, of course. And let's just show you that 30-second version of the song that was written about a flood fight in Minot, and we'll play that for you and then come right back. some words of hope for you, courtesy of our friend Matt Charlie, who is with the group that's called the Cascade Sun, and he put that together in the course of about 24 hours early on in the flood fight back a few weeks ago. And we, with his permission, used the music to kind of show you some of the things that folks have been doing to try to win this fight against the rising Mouse River. We're looking at a live shot right now, looking to the north from just south of the railroad tracks, just south of the river there. This is at I. Keating's, and we say thank you to them for this location to allow us to bring you this live picture. We have live camera looks also available for you online that you can check out, and those include at the 16th Street Bridge by the water treatment plants, as we have a camera up on top of the water treatment plant pointing down toward the river and toward the bridge, which crosses it right there. You can see there is some activity on that bridge. And Tom, you know what I need you to do?
What's that?
I need you to move this camera up about 5 feet so that I can see.
I guess I'm not surprised at that one.
I've taken over as your primary host in case you haven't figured this out, but Perry is off to get a little bit of a rest, and we believe that the local media is going to be getting some information from the city in the form of a press conference this afternoon, and Perry will be there when that happens. At this hour as well, we are having Sean Sitma up in the air with the National Guard in a helicopter to get a tour of the river valley. Now here's a look at how things are looking at 16th. We can zoom in a little bit if you want. Some traffic still going on. Perhaps some people still, well, in this area the road is open, so I guess there could be some traffic on it from time to time. You see the heavy equipment just peeking up over the top of the building there as they continue to work on that dike that is designed to protect the Minot water treatment plant. And just behind that, you can see the water is still kind of crashing up onto the bridge there, or at least against the bridge, the 16th Street Bridge. And if we can zoom in even a little bit further where that white car has pulled to a stop there, you can get a pretty good look, I think, as the the dump truck leaves the area there. You see how the water is smashing up against the side of that 16th Street Bridge at this hour. And again, this is our live camera that is situated atop the Minot water treatment plant. The other live camera that we have is in the downtown area. That is looking down to the north with the Broadway Bridge in the foreground. And you can check that out whenever you want to go online to facebook.com/KXNewsMinot. And Tom, what were you going to say?
Well, something on Facebook came in a minute ago. Apparently there's an accident on Broadway right in front of Paradiso. So that's going to be complicating some travel issues, if that is in fact true.
Most unfortunate, and we hope that everyone's okay there, and we hope that, you know, something I noticed today as a rule, I try to be a very courteous driver, okay? So you may see me sometimes and maybe I'm not, but I was going down, I can't remember what street I was going down, but it was very busy and there was a car trying to turn left and it was holding up all kinds of traffic behind it, and the traffic that I was in was going north, and you know, just a line of car after car after car after car after truck after whatever. And the guy right in front of me stopped and let him turn in front of him to kind of keep things going. So it was nice to see the courtesy that was offered to the person who was trying to make that turn, which can be pretty difficult right now out there in the places. Now, of course, the evacuation areas now should be empty of any of the folks who have been ordered to leave. The Minot Police Department is now, along with the National Guard and the Air Force, patrolling to make sure that there are no problems that develop in those areas. How about water flow? What kind of water are we expecting coming down the river from Canada? Well, at this point, the latest information I've had is that about 28,000 CFS, cubic feet per second, is being released from the 3 dams in Canada. That number might be a little more than that. I suspect we'll get an update on the exact number from the city officials at our press conference that I still believe is coming up this afternoon at 4 o'clock. That iris is kind of just pulsating there. It makes you think that there's something strange going on, but of course it's just a problem with the camera that's having trouble adjusting to the amount of light that's coming into it. There's a nice crisp high-definition picture with the Broadway Bridge on the right and the river on the left. Could we zoom in at all? Is there somebody manning this camera, or do we just have it stationary at this point? I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that question. But if there is someone there, we can perhaps zoom in a little bit at some of the river area there. But this is the Broadway Bridge, and on your right, and of course it is still open to traffic. It is the very much the main north-south route through town. Now we're zoomed in just a little bit, and you can see the river back in the background there, and some of the water that is pooling there, whether it's from the river or it's from groundwater that's coming to the surface because of the pressure put on by the river. We can't say for sure, but there are areas in town where we have had overtopping of the dikes. We started getting those pictures in before the noon hour today. And Tim, if you want to try to bring up any of those overtopping pictures that we have. Sure thing. We can take a look at that. That's our live picture once again, though, from the Ike Keating Furniture World with Broadway Bridge on the right and the railroad tracks in the foreground there.
And when I was at the 3rd Street Bridge looking straight down, the water had overtopped on the south side. They were building on the north side. Okay. And it was up to the first offshoot, not the main track, but the offshoot where they go and park and do
the the spur, is that what they call it?
Okay, a spur, and it was about 2 feet from the actual wood.
Right there. There's the picture right there.
Okay, but now it's actually, when I left and I didn't get a picture, the water was right at the
railroad track there.
The track there. Yep. The wood, not the actual metal. But it's really not that big of an elevation gain at that point.
Right. Okay, so that was what Tom shot with his camera.
That was a cell phone, yeah.
About an hour or a little over that ago. And this is one of the pictures that we received on Facebook from a viewer who was kind enough to send it into us to show us water coming over the top of the levee in northwest Minot, kind of in the Oak Park area, north and a little east of Oak Park, I believe, is the location of this. And it was water that obviously was coming down over the top of the levee and starting to spread out in that neighborhood. So that's the type of thing that's going on. So far, we believe it's at a somewhat small rate, but we, of course, will keep our eyes and ears to the police and the law enforcement officials and the Emergency Operations Center to make sure that we let you know of any other reports of water getting over the top of the dikes in the Magic City as this flood fight goes on. Now, the Lake Darling Dam, I mentioned that we're currently looking at about 28,000 CFS of water coming out of Canada. Lake Darling Dam's releases are at 10,000 CFS right now. They're going up to 11,000 at 5 o'clock and then 12,000 as of 10 o'clock tonight. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a change in their long-term schedule, because the long-term schedule said that by next, I think, Monday or Tuesday, the releases from Lake Darling were supposed to get up into that 20,000 CFS range. Don't be surprised if we hear at today's press conference that it'll go up to that level maybe more quickly, or that it may go higher than that level because of the water situation. We have another day with releases at the just extremely high level, getting close to that 30,000 CFS level coming out of Canada. And each day that goes on, it just becomes that much harder to avoid passing through very high flows from the Lake Darling Dam down into the city of Minot, and then, of course, everybody else along the way, starting out at Burlington and, of course, starting out in the rural areas north of Burlington as well, heading up toward Lake Darling itself and toward the refuge itself. And then all the way downstream, coming into contact with people in their homes down in the Apple Grove area and the East Side Estates area, and on down to Logan and Sawyer, and right on down the river. The the river gauges that are located up and down the Mouse River in the United States are all going to have a new notation as the crest of record. The highest levels ever seen. It's going to say the year 2011 beside them in every case, and that means in Sherwood. The Lake Darling Dam doesn't really keep track of that, but in Sherwood, in Foxholm, and in the Boy Scout Bridge area, in the city of Minot, Logan, Sawyer, in Velva, and in Towner, and Bantry, and West Hope, every one of those gauges will have the year 2011 beside them as saying that this is the year that we had the highest crest ever along the Mouse River. Shelters are available. If you are evacuating, if you have evacuated and you find that you have no place to stay, the Minot Auditorium is now accepting evacuees. And in fact, Tom, if you could help me by maybe making sure that the folks in the newsroom are aware of that, and remember to get out and get some video and a story down at the Red Cross shelter at the auditorium. We can do that. We'll have that for you later on in the day. In fact, also, could you grab in my top drawer, Tom, my other IFB cord, because this one won't stay plugged in. and then I can't hear anything. And so the shelter is open at the Minot Auditorium right now, and the Red Cross is asking for volunteers to come out and help in serving meals starting in about an hour and a half or so. They need folks who can come out and help in the food service area this evening and help to feed these hundreds of people who are going to be coming to the auditorium or who have already arrived at the Minot Auditorium to seek shelter from this storm of water that is headed our direction. The Minot State University Dome is also expected to be open as of about 4 o'clock this afternoon, so around 2 hours from now, that other shelter will be at the MSU Dome, and that'll be happening at least by 4 o'clock this afternoon. So that's going on thanks to the Red Cross also for taking care of that for the people in the area. Speaking of which, if you'd like to help the Red Cross to make this happen and to help in their mission of providing comfort to people who are in the middle of disaster situations, you can contact the Red Cross online. Just go to minotredcross.org, and they have a site there where you can, or rather a link there where you can make a cash donation, which they are always appreciative of. And they also will tell you how to get a hold of them if you'd like to maybe offer some sort of services or products that can be of assistance in their efforts to comfort those who are suffering this catastrophe that has befallen the city of Minot and the area in general. Go ahead, Tom.
There's something here on Facebook from Dan.
Have you got
if we can go to the Broadway camera.
Okay.
We were looking
at
it here.
Keating's camera, or which one are you talking about?
Well, it just says the Broadway camera.
Okay.
The water that you were talking about earlier. Dan says the water you were seeing is the river backing up through the storm sewer.
Okay.
But between the building and the tree to the east of it, you can see a pile of sandbags on top of a catch basin. Now, that's a new phrase for me.
Well, let's zoom in a little bit there and
What's
see
a catch basin?
What we can see. We'll see if we can figure it out. Toward that car there that maybe is in the middle of the screen, maybe that'll, yeah, there we go. I guess it's not a car. It's the sandbags that he's talking about right there, right, Galen?
Yes.
And a catch basin would be a basin, I assume, that would hold water in a situation of high water where they could then evacuate it when they needed to. I'm just guessing on that. But we can see that the level of the river is such that it is very, very close to getting over the top. And again, I apologize. We are unable to give you updated river readings because they're not being made available to us right now. The U.S. Geological Survey site is not giving us an update on the Minot Broadway Bridge since 11 o'clock this morning. And I'm going down here to see what that means. Equipment malfunction, it says. Okay, so there has been an equipment malfunction on the Broadway Bridge gauge, so it's going to be hard for us to tell you, inch by inch how the river is going. But suffice it to say that the river is going higher, and it is going a lot higher. Let's kind of recap what some of the facts are that we know at this point in time. And again, all of these facts are based on the information that is released by the officials and the estimates and projections that are made by people like the National Weather Service. And we are expecting a crest in Minot to reach somewhere in the 5.5 to 7 feet above what it reached in 1969. Right now, we are basically at the level that the river reached back in 1969. We are at that level now. And from now until the crest, sometime early next week, we're expecting the river to go up between 5.5 and 7 feet higher than it stands at this point in time. Now, that was based on yesterday's information, and so there is always a question of revising that based on the new information. But we'll just leave it at that for now.
Would it be fair to say that if these are the numbers that we're at where we were in 1969, would it be fair to say that for the fact that we're not flooded already? I mean, a serious flooding. We can thank Chet Ryden.
Yeah, well, the effort to build up those dikes and the dam system throughout the region has done a lot over the years to help avoid the average flood. The one thing that the dam system has done is to kind of build up a big wall of water that's going to make this an amazingly high flood, because all that water has been held back for so long that it finally just can't be held back anymore. Look at all the people standing on Broadway Bridge right there. Of course, there is a walkway across the bridge, and a lot of folks have decided to hike onto the bridge and have a look at the water as it comes up. You can see in the background there is the airport area, and up on the top of the hill, and then on the bridge itself, many people who have gathered there to get a look at what's going on with the water at the level of the 1969 flood right now, and getting closer to the level of the all-time highest reading here in Minot, which was 1558, if I remember correctly. I'm calling it up right now to try to remind myself, but that was set in 1881, and that level was reached, you know, many moons ago. And let me see, what was it? It was 1558, yeah, back in 1981 or 1881, the all-time record high, a record that we expect to eclipse over the next several days in the city of Minot. We're at about 2 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock right now. Evacuees who need a place to stay are invited to come to the Minot Auditorium, and you will be welcomed there by the Red Cross. The Red Cross is looking for volunteers this afternoon in the late afternoon hours, about 3:30 or so, to come out and help serve meals and serve the folks who have come there seeking shelter from this Mouse River rise. And they also are expecting to open up a second shelter at the Minot State University Dome this afternoon after about 4 o'clock. And okay, so now I've been handed, apparently the plea for help has been answered, and the Red Cross says that it does have enough volunteers for right now for helpers in the food area at the auditorium. So you can disregard what we said about that. But again, if you would like to help the Red Cross by making a donation, a monetary donation would be greatly appreciated. Any sort of a donation of your time, or perhaps a service or a product, you can contact the Red Cross at minotredcross.org. Well, the sirens sounded, the sirens sounded in the city of Minot a couple of hours ago now. It was, well, I guess it was just over an hour ago. I've lost my notes, so I can't tell you what it was. Oh, yeah, 12:57, just over an hour ago. 12 hours, 57 minutes, and 20 seconds into this 22nd day of June 2011, the sirens began sounding, telling people that water was starting to come over the city's levee system, and it was time to finish evacuating and get to safety. Now, the Trinity Health has sent us a note from Randy Schwann. Code Green emergency operations are in effect since before the nursing home evacuations. They were heightened today. They're conserving their resources and monitoring the census of patients that are coming in to the hospital, and they're moving some elective surgeries to different dates to make sure that their staff is ready to deal with any emergencies that might come in. They say they have the ability to operate in the case of water and sewer problems or electricity problems, so they are going to keep open, obviously, at Trinity Hospital. Purification units and generators are available to Trinity to make sure they are still providing the critical health care to people who need it in our region. We're going to take a brief break right now. Ryan, can you tell me how long this break is so we can share that information with our friends? I guess you guys can coordinate that yourselves, but we're going to take a brief break right now and come back as we continue with our coverage of the Mouse River flood of 2011 here on KX News.
From KX News in high definition, this is a special report, Flood Fight 2011.
That's what you should do. All right, and that's what you should do is keep on watching as we continue our coverage of the Flood Fight 2011. And, you know, the Mouse River is starting to go over the banks in the Magic City. It has been overtopping the banks in some areas for a couple of hours now. You're looking now at the, well, you were looking for a minute there at some of the video that we have shot recently today. I tell you what, Ryan, let's go to, and Mike, let us go to the video that Galen shot this afternoon, or this morning, of the U.S. Air Force airman who was going door to door. And now I'm not sure if she was an airman or not, but she's from the Air Force, and we'll listen to her as she was trying to notify people to evacuate their homes.
They will be going off in 15 minutes, okay. And they're not, it's not a drill. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. I just got confirmation that they're going to sound the alarms in 15 minutes. You're going to need to hurry up, wrap up your things as much as possible. Okay. All right, it's not a drill. Thank you. We just got notification that if you hear the alarm go off, it's not a drill. It could be going off anytime.
I was told.
Okay. We just got notification 15 minutes, the alarm will be going off.
I'm gonna grab 15 minutes.
Yep. How long?
15.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna move this
Approximately.
chair.
Go get mom's buttoned up.
Okay.
You guys are good? You're gonna make it out okay?
Yep, we'll be fine.
All right.
Good to be all good.
And so we say thanks to people like that young lady right there who was going door to door, making sure that people were aware that the sirens were going to soon be sounded in the city of Minot. And that was the signal for everyone to finish up and to get out of the area. Also, it was the signal that we were seeing water coming over the top of the city's levee system. You watch the BNSF train move slowly through town there from our view, which is on I. Keating Furniture World. The the North Broadway Bridge is on the right-hand side of your screen. And if we can, maybe, did you have some new pictures you wanted to show me here, Tim? Maybe we could put up some of those. We've been getting a lot of good photos from our friends on Facebook. And also we've been getting a lot of good ideas and information being shared on our Facebook site. And we hope that you'll take part in that community as well, because it's a good way to find out, something that you need to have done, and maybe find out some help for that, or maybe offer your services to somebody who always who can help out, or who can be in need of help, I should say. This afternoon at 12:57:20, the sirens were sounded in the city, and it was a result of what has been going on over the past, how long, as the river has continued to come up. Let's take a look at some of the video that we have right now from earlier in the day, and I'll take whichever piece of video you want to put up for me here, boys, and we'll take a look at it, as these are some of the shots of the river just in the moments before the sirens were sounded to tell everyone to evacuate from these, evacuation areas. This is at the Memorial Bridge and the 6th Street Bridge. The water obviously very close. Look at that right there, within inches of the top of the dike there. That's one of those spots where water had been pooling from time to time as well. And you get a look there that shows you that the traffic was continuing, even as the water was sitting basically at the level of the driver's eyeballs driving through, unless you were driving one of those big pickup trucks. Here's the 4th Avenue Bridge near Oak Park, and obviously water just overwhelming the system there as far as the bridge goes. The water continues to rise, we believe. We do not have any recent readings. We're told that the gauge at the Minot Broadway Bridge is malfunctioning, and I am sure that they are doing what they can to get that repaired. Meanwhile, the Burlington Des Lacs River reading is at 24.64, and that is equal to the highest point that we've had so far this year on the Des Lacs in Burlington. At Foxholm, the Des Lacs River is down a bit to 1682. It had a kind of a brief crest, as it is wont to do when there has been a rain shower in the region. The Foxholm is back down under 17 after getting up over the 17-foot mark today, but still sending out about 1,900 CFS of water toward Burlington and then on into the Mouse River. Another shot of the bridge there by Oak Park, and check out that one for a unique perspective of how things look at the water level. It is, it's a scary time. If you live in the valley and you've evacuated your home, what are your thoughts right now? You're thinking, well, I'm safe, my kids are safe, my pets are safe, the National Guard is out there, the Air Force is out there to make sure that and the Minot Police Department and the Sheriff's Departments are out there to make sure my home is not tampered with by anybody. But on the other hand, the main tampering with all the homes in the flood area is going to be done by Mother Nature over the next few weeks, as we are expecting high releases from the Lake Darling Dam to continue into early July at the very least, and we could hear later today that timeline has been pushed back once again. But we're expecting high releases from Lake Darling Dam to continue into early July, and even after they say they'll be able to drop them back, it's going to take several days to drop them back to a level that might bring the river back within its banks and have a chance at drying things out. 1555.5, that's the level at the bottom of that arrow, right at the bottom of your screen there, which is about where we are right now. I suspect we have to kind of extrapolate based on what we've had going on so far. Did somebody say something to me there?
I heard him say live shot, and we have
okay, and this is the live shot, of course. And we'll zoom in just a little bit here. And we'll zoom in over at the Broadway Bridge. Look at the traffic right now along the Broadway, North Broadway in Minot, as cars and trucks and vans and that sort of thing really out there and really being used in a big way right now. I'll just let you look at that for a few minutes.
While you're looking that up, Jim, I'm going to, Tim, could we pull up that picture? This is a side-by-side picture from Northgate, Saskatchewan, which is just east of Portal and 10 miles north of Northgate, North Dakota. And Northgate, North Dakota is east of Portal, and it's west of Sherwood and almost straight north of Bowbells. So that kind of gives you an idea where it's at. These pictures were taken only 25 hours apart. So 25 hours ago, it was a picture on the left. Then look at that, in 25 hours, Jim. And that's, I think the Facebook thing says huge reality check.
That's a valley that I drove through on Sunday when I drove on my way up to see the Rafferty Dam in person to get a look at how things were going, and kind of started the dominoes falling as we learned that the releases from Rafferty and Alameda and Boundary dams were much higher than we had thought they were going to be. And then, of course, those higher releases just kept getting higher and higher until now. I believe we're at right around 28,000 CFS coming out of those 3 dams, and that's what happens. And here's what happens when you hit well, on the way to an all-time record flood level. You find a high spot and you go look at it, and that's what a lot of people are doing, waving at us right now from the top of the Broadway Bridge. Yes, you're looking good up there, and we hope you're enjoying yourselves.
There is a picture on there about Broadway.
It's not a bad day.
There was an accident. I mean, there's a picture of it.
Not in this area, though.
No,
that was down by Paradiso.
Broadway, I think they said it was in front of Paradiso.
Yeah. I got a note from a gentleman through email who said to check the forecast for the Sherwood gauge. And Tim, I don't know if you can call that up in the next little while here. Sherwood gauge, I think what's happening here is that this number for the future has been adjusted based on the actual reading that was taken by the U.S. Geological Survey just within the last hour or so. The USGS came out with an adjustment to the numbers. We had been reading on the gauge at Sherwood that there was up to 35,000 CFS there, which just did not make any sense because the water from the Canadian dams hadn't had time to arrive there at anything near that level. And so they went up and did a reading using the United States Geological Survey, and that reading came back saying that there was, in fact, quite a bit of a problem with that gauge. I'm just calling it up right now so I can get the exact number that they found. They found 25,100 CFS coming across at the Sherwood gauge, as opposed to the 33,000 plus that we had been seeing as a preliminary number from that gauge earlier. So now they have adjusted the crest for the future, or the the projection into the future for the river water coming from Canada. And they're bringing it downward somewhat, downward into the, to the range about where it is now, and then maybe dropping off just a bit later on this week into the weekend. And an interesting fact there, maybe we'll hear some good news about some changes coming from the Canadian dams when we have our press conference that I believe is scheduled for this afternoon at 4 o'clock. I don't think I've had anybody tell me that for sure just yet, so I can't say it for sure, but I'm remembering, maybe somebody could check on that for me and see if we have the press conference scheduled at 4 o'clock. And if so, do we have the folks scheduled to make sure it's going to be taken care of so we can bring it to you live here. Earlier today, the mayor and some other folks had a kind of an impromptu press conference for the national media. As you can imagine, the national media has shown quite a bit of interest in what's going on here in the Magic City with this evacuation of 11,000 people, and water levels expected to hit the kind of numbers that have never been seen before along the Mouse River. And could we also just take a look at the video that I shot by the dam, or by the 8th Street Bridge, by the Memorial Bridge this morning? It was about 9:30 or 9:45 around in there when I went out just at the time we were expecting to hear the sirens being sounded. And we were in the area there with our live truck and got some live pictures of it for you, and then decided that maybe it might be a better idea to go somewhere else. And so we were able to leave that area. I think it's called Levee Top, Wednesday Levee Top or something like that. We'll see if the right thing pops up. It becomes a challenge to figure out names to call all of these different pieces of video. Yeah, this is it right here. And so we're at River Road and 8th Street Northeast, I think it is, right? And or Northwest, and you can see how this shot right here shows you just how close everything was to the very top of the dikes at that location as of about 9:45 this morning. The water is just absolutely pouring down from Canada. It's pouring into Lake Darling, and Lake Darling is then required to move on the water in an amount that will keep the lake, or the dam rather, from becoming compromised because of too much pressure behind it. You remember yesterday we heard the Corps of Engineers Lieutenant Colonel telling us that they had received permission from the commission that is in charge of the operation of the Mouse and Souris River to bring the pool level down on Lake Darling farther than it had ever been, not ever, but farther than it's normally supposed to be. 1597 is the summertime pool, and they got permission to bring it down to 1594 and a half as a way to create space for water coming in from Canada. Of course, those big flows that are on the way. And they also received permission from that same group to raise the amount of water that can be stored at the Lake Darling Reservoir, Lake Darling Dam, by about 5 inches. So that moved the full level of the lake up to about the 1602 level from 1601 and a half. So saying all of that, that gives you an update on where things stand with that at River Road. And we are going to have a press conference this afternoon, probably closer to 5 o'clock instead of 4 o'clock. So there's a piece of information for you. We'll let you know as soon as we find out what time exactly that press conference is going to be held, because obviously people want to find out all they can about what's going on in their neighborhoods that they have had to evacuate because of the Mouse River. If you live outside of the evacuation area, you are still being advised to do a few things. Conserve water is one of them. You are asked to conserve water, and that is for folks really inside of about a 30-mile radius in the Minot area, and that is because they want to make sure that the aquifers are able to keep up with the demand. They've lost the ability to take water from one of the aquifers, the main aquifers in Minot, and have had to resort to a backup aquifer system. So that's part of the problem that we're facing there. Here is some of the video from 11th Street Northwest and Seaton Drive. This is that area, I believe, where we actually saw the water going over the top of the dike in that picture that we had earlier. We've shown that picture over the last couple of hours, and please cut the grass while I'm away. That's the request from that homeowner right there. Well, if my son Perry were available, he'd be over there in a heartbeat to cut your grass, because he likes to mow the lawn for some unknown reason. And here you can see how things look in the neighborhood. It was a beautiful morning in the area, especially once the sun came out. Early on this morning, I was doing a live cut-in with the CBS Early Show a couple of times, and it was actually kind of cold out there, but it has turned into a pretty nice day, especially areas from Minot into the west, where the sunshine is being allowed to shine just a little bit because the clouds have moved out to the east of Minot. It's a little bit of a different story with more clouds. You know, we haven't really had a weather update for a while, Tom, so maybe we should do that when we're done looking at these pictures right here. And again, these are showing us just how close the river stands right now to going over. This was this morning about 10:30, something like that. And in the northwest and central parts of Minot, there was somebody packing up and moving out. Look at how high the water is right there in relation to the dam or to the dike system. And, well, that's the story. Tom Schrader is here with us right now. And Tom, let's talk about the weather just a bit and see how things are going. We've had showers the last couple of days, but where are we at now?
Well, things have kind of wound down for the rain, at least around Minot. And when we can look at the radar here in just a little bit, there's some rain up to the northeast. Now, that's really not going to impact the city of Minot or the Mouse or Delac River Basin. However, you're talking about sunshine, and it feels good. And just a little
note. It's going to make thunderstorms, I suppose.
Yeah, you know, and I was sitting on the 3rd Street Bridge until the sirens went off, and a nurse, she's a traveling nurse, and she came up to me. She says, "The top of your head's burning," because I was just
because of the sun.
Because of the sun.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily. It's not necessarily a good thing to have sunshine in the afternoon, because there's so much moisture in the air that thunderstorms could develop, and that's what we don't need. It's one thing to get a little bitty rain shower that drops 1/10 of an inch over 4 hours. It's a totally another thing to get a thunderstorm that drops a 1/2 inch in 30 minutes. And so So, you know, sunshine is not something we really need around here right now. I don't see a whole lot of it, you know, a big area where we'd be looking at severe weather or anything like that. That shouldn't be much of an issue today, but sunshine's certainly not all that great for us.
Okay, Tom, I thank you for that update, and maybe we should look at the 16th Street Bridge again just to see how things are faring there. The Broadway Bridge location is not working as far as the river gauge goes, so we are unable to tell you exactly what's going on with the level of the river. Other than that, I guess it would maybe be somewhat surprising if it was doing anything except going up somewhat. It's been doing that throughout the last couple of days, and of course doing that throughout the day today as well. And although the one thing that did happen is the rise of the river did kind of moderate just a little bit before we lost touch with our equipment there to find out how things are going. One thing that we were alarmed at this morning was the level of the river at Sherwood, where it enters the U.S. from Canada. And that Sherwood gauge was returning readings of some 33,000 cubic feet per second. Just an enormous amount, and much more than it really made any sense for there to be coming in there. And so the U.S. Geological Survey went there and did an assessment and ended up shaving about 8,000 off of that number, saying now that the flow at Sherwood is still a very, very high 25,100 cubic feet per second. So how high is that historically? Well, I'm just calling it up right now. Normally, the average at this time of the year would be around 108 cubic feet per second for the Mouse River. On this date, June 22nd in any year, we expect to see about 108 CFS, and of course now we're seeing 25,100. So there is a slight disparity there between what we expect and what is actually happening in the along the Mouse River this year.
Can I ask you about some terminology?
Absolutely.
And I have to admit, see, I went home at 6:30 when my shift was over, and I had 4 hours of sleep, which is 3 hours more than anybody else in the building, I think. So I missed some terminology here. So I'm pulling this off Facebook, and it says, when they say essential personnel vehicles only on Broadway. Now, is that already officially been said? But what does that include? Does that include employees and students getting to and from work? That kind of thing. What does that mean? Or did they actually already?
Are you talking about on where is that again?
Broadway. Have they actually said essential vehicles only? So if they haven't, then I want to squash.
Well, we can
a rumor.
We can check to see about what you know. Check maybe and make sure my email has been checked in there and that we haven't received that information perhaps and just weren't aware of it. I don't remember hearing that, but Perry's been in charge here for the last many hours, and maybe it's something I'm missing, and we'll check it and try to find out if that's the case. But however, I certainly don't know what the police and folks are going to say, but it seems to me that if you're not in an evacuation zone, you can move about as you need to move about. And again, we encourage everyone to avoid going out and being part of the group that just drives around to look and see what's going on, because that can really cause jam-ups with the traffic, and it can cause problems with people who might have some official and important duties to take care of, to be late for that or be unable to get there. So keep that in mind when you're deciding about what you're going to do, if you're going to go out and kind of just look around and see what you can see. I'm just taking a couple of notes here from the website, from the Minot Broadway Bridge site, and writing down a few things that catch my eye about the hydrograph for Minot. Right now, the projection is